morning, everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where it's 7 o'clock. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke, you appeared to be thrilled and entranced by my good.
That was really good. Good morning.
Oh, I could do a goal for a long time. I could do Andres Cantor goal. I can do it for a long time. Danny Mack is here. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. When did you start doing the long good morning thing?
When I started doing mornings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was listening all the time. I can't believe I missed it.
Yeah. Well, it starts at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
Pretty much every day.
Yep.
It's good to have Brooke. It's good to have Danny. It's good to have Matthew. I am Randy. And did I say that the time check's brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers?
You did. You rolled the tongue.
Oh, I rolled the tongue. Yeah.
Yep.
An officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Here's what we got coming up on this program today. It's going to be fun. We're going to talk about the Cardinals. You know, the Cardinals pitchers and catchers are showing up today. I don't know if you're aware of that, but the baseball season, football season ended on Sunday. Baseball season basically starts on Tuesday.
I wish that John Brepio was here because you guys remember that one spring training when it was on Valentine's Day and he created Burdentine's Day.
Yes.
And he got a bunch of roses and handed them out to the players, but also to the fans that were outside the complex.
Yeah, he's great. Where did he land? White Sox, I think.
Oh, that's a good
I
question.
don't know. He was in San Francisco.
Yeah.
He was doing things for Gabe Kapler. Like he would be a spot starter. He'd come in all different times out of the bullpen. I do think, though, he signed with the White Sox.
Yeah, so he is a White Sox. We miss Brebs. Anyway, we're going to talk a lot of Cardinal baseball. We're going to talk some NFL on the heels of Super Bowl 58. We're going to talk to John Kelly. Blues at Toronto tonight. Toronto's always a good place to visit, and the Blues have had a tremendous amount of success the last few years in Toronto. Pregame at 5 here on 101 ESPN. The action comes your way at 6. Dan, were you in Toronto in 2000 when the Blues had the 5-0 deficit and came back?
I was doing intermissions on radio and listening as I think it was Dan Kelly Jr. during the doing the games at that time with Bernie, and it was remarkable. Jeff Cardinal plowing into the goalie, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Do you remember anything untoward ever happening while you were doing intermissions, while you were doing Blues hockey from the studio?
Not from the studio, but when I was doing television, Mark Bergevin did an entire interview with me in Fletch mode. I would ask him a real question, and he's like, Dan, it's all ball bearings these days in terms of the power play. And I was like, I just kept going with it, and he just kept doing Fletch.
Do you remember back at KMOX?
He was hilarious. He was a great
funny
character.
Guy. Yeah, he was really good. Do you remember back at KMOX when they used to make us wear our pagers 24/7?
Yeah. I never answered it, and a certain person really got upset with me.
So, Dan,
you could probably figure it out.
They told us to keep our pagers on, the little pagers, little boxes, and they were loud.
Yep.
So Dan's doing an intermission one time, and I called the pager right in the middle of it.
Multiple times you did it.
I did.
Randy.
Yeah. I had to take it outside the booth. We went to break. I said, this is St. Louis Blues hockey. And the next thing you knew, I was out of the booth. And Bob Hamilton, who was doing news, was like, where is he going? He was not nervous. The guy never got nervous. But he's like, what is Dan doing? Where's he going? I just had to get rid of the pager.
That was such a Richard.
Did you just toss it away, Dan?
I
Were you
did.
like, all right, that's enough of this pager?
Took it back to the sports office and left it there. And Brooke, we used to have, prior to cell phones, we had the red phone. And if the red phone rang at the sports office, this is how long ago that Randy and I go back, and I guess we're old, but the bat phone, the red phone was the phone. So if they called you on the red phone, you had to answer. Could be Jack Buck, might be Mike Shannon, could be somebody with an interview that they literally would do on a hardline phone and say, what did you think of the game tonight? And then you'd put the phone up to the person to answer, like a microphone.
Yeah.
It was old school, man.
It was.
Yeah.
So one night, the Blues had a radio play-by-play guy who wasn't perfect with his descriptions of games or his identification of players. And this must have been mid-'90s. Was it Fuhrer that was between the pipes?
Grant Fuhrer.
And so, mid to late 90s. Glenn Hall played in 1970 for the Blues. The Blues are playing a game in Pittsburgh. She's terrible.
Oh, no.
And the play-by-play guy says, the Blues play-by-play guy says, and the save is made by Glenn Hall.
And the next thing you knew, who called each other?
The red phone rings, and I pick it up because we were supposed to pull highlights from the game. And I said, I already got it, big boy.
That was out of left field for sure. Glenn Hall is making a hell of a comeback.
Something.
Would you guys go back and try to use all those different things that you had to use for the broadcast?
We would have no chance, would we?
No. No.
Using real tape to edit tape.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we had 8 razor blades. I don't even know if you can buy those razor blades anymore.
You had small razor blades, and you had a little insertion that you could fit the razor blade in, and then you'd have to take tape and literally tape the reel-to-reel. What would you call that? The actual reel-to-reel, the stuff.
tape.
But I mean the tape.
The recording tape, and then you had like editing tape.
Yeah. So you just taped it together and hoped that you got it right, and if not, you'd have to take off the tape and redo it again.
Yeah,
I bet you guys could still do it to this day. If you got thrown back into it, you could do it.
It'd take a long time, Brooke.
No, it wouldn't. We'd be fine. I'm telling you, you'd be fine. We'd be right back, hopping on the saddle and going.
1985, our executive producer, right after the Cardinals win the NL pennant, our executive producer, Rob Silverstein, calls me up on that red phone. And Rob was a classic New Yorker. He's the executive producer of Access Hollywood. It has been for many years. And he calls me up on the red phone and says, my man, we need a 2-hour special tomorrow night at 6, and it's like 8 at night. We had just finished the game. He said, I need a 2-hour special for tomorrow night. Jack will come in and voice it in the morning. So I pulled it all-nighter. And I never did that for school, but I did it for baseball. And so I had literally a 2-hour special that we were putting on the reel at 6:05 to air at like 6:12. And then the second hour, the news ended at 7:10, and I was putting the second hour on the machine to air at 7:09.
And you just hoped that you didn't back up your chair and hit the wrong button, because it would it would stop the whole thing. And you're like, wait a minute, this isn't live. I remember when we did a McGuire chase for, well, we didn't know it was 70, but chase for the record, and I did a very sappy. I always like the sad music, you know that. And so I did a very sappy feature on Dave McKay, who threw batting practice, and I gave it to Randy. He's like, what the hell is this? He didn't die.
Yeah, but we ran it.
Oh,
and
sure.
It was a tearjerker.
It sure was. A batting practice tearjerker.
It was great. It was fun. Breaking news last night, if you did not hear, CBS Sports coverage of Super Bowl LVIII, which featured the Kansas City Chiefs' 25-22 overtime victory over the San Francisco 49ers. If you aren't aware of it already, this is an official release from the National Football League. It delivered the most watched telecast in the history of television, of anything. Had more viewers than any episode of The Jeffersons. It had more viewers than any episode of Law and Order. Even more viewers than any episode of MASH.
Wow.
Yeah.
The final MASH was huge.
It was monstrous. Yeah. 123.4 million viewers average across all platforms. It included CBS Television, Paramount Plus, Nickelodeon, Univision, and CBS Sports and NFL digital properties, including NFL Plus. And by the way, we mentioned yesterday the Nickelodeon presentation was sensational. Viewership figures based on Nielsen Fast national data. And so the NFL continues, after having 93 of the top 100 rated shows last year, they continue to dominate television, even on Sunday nights.
It's not going. I like how you added even on Sunday nights. We got into the discussion again, Dan, yesterday about Saturday for the Super Bowl. And can you guess where Randy was on this?
Sunday nights.
Yes, on Sunday night. And I lost that battle. Surprising, I know.
So you were probably Saturday or maybe even Monday?
I was just saying Saturday, yeah, because then, college football does well on Saturdays. But Randy, you won that battle.
I asked Brooke, well, when does college football play their championship game?
Mondays.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But I'm with Brooke. Can I wish for something? Can I hope for something?
Wish, yeah.
Yes.
I understand where you're coming from, and it does make sense, Randall. It's all about the money.
Follow the money.
Yeah, and what else are you going to do on a Sunday? You get ready for Super Bowl. I would like to give Brooke a chance, though. I'm with her and say, what would happen if we did it just one time on a Saturday? Now, I have another idea.
Okay.
Add another game to the schedule where already 60 QBs get hurt, and play a 19th game and push it back to President's Day. So you'd have Sunday, and then you have President's Day off.
I love this, and we can even do another thing. Lincoln's birthday. Was Lincoln's birthday yesterday? We kind of figured this out.
I thought it was Washington.
Yeah, one of them.
because Washington's birthday technically is the 22nd because he was born on the 12th, but they use a different calendar, so it's actually the 22nd.
Oh, okay. You got me on a technicality.
We just learned this yesterday, Dan. That's why.
George Washington was like a rescue dog. They just make up his birthday.
Hopefully that's not going to be a question later because that could get tricky.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, he had multiple birthdays. So anyway, most watched event in history. And one other quick note, by the way, the most streamed event in history, led by a record-setting audience on Paramount Plus. And I believe Peacock had set that record with their playoff game a couple of weeks before Paramount Plus beating it.
I just wish we had a day off afterwards. Make it a national. If you want to keep it on Sunday, which it will stay on Sunday, give the country a national day off. And I bet you might even see higher ratings because some people have to work. Most people have to work and get up. And that game, let's say on the East Coast, ended at around 11-ish because of OT. Wasn't it about 11? It was like locally it was around 10:05 maybe, or just shy of that. And so on the East Coast, to me, that's a big problem of baseball. They start the playoff games so late. The young kids, the young fans, they fall asleep.
Yeah.
They can't watch.
Right. The game should have been over by 8:45. Right?
Yes.
But the overtime took it a little further. Okay, one question for you guys. The Giants have signed Jorge Soler, okay? He's
3-year deal.
Yeah, 3 years, $42 million. Cody Bellinger is still out on the market, and the Giants were interested in him. I'm not seeing another team that would be interested in Cody Bellinger aside from the Cubs. I'm wondering if Scott Boras might be, and I always wonder this, and he never does. It's amazing. But you wonder in a situation like this, if the Cubs are concerned about bidding against themselves, because I don't see another bidder, and I wonder if Boras has maybe overplayed his Cody Bellinger hand here.
I would love to know what Scott Boras is asking for, because to me, it makes sense for him to go to the Cubs and go back to the Cubs. It just makes a lot of sense. That's what I thought that was going to happen, and that's what we were waiting for. And I'm surprised that is now the 13th in February, and we're still waiting for a landing spot for him. I don't know what the holdup is.
I would say, too, if the logical place for him is Chicago, enjoying success there last year, and they need a left-handed bat in their lineup. I mean, they need a thumper, a left-handed bat. That's why I thought they'd go after Ohtani. I thought they would spend a ton of money on Ohtani and try to get him there. But with the success that he's had and then the precipitous downfall that he had, I'm sure that some organizations are trying to say, we don't fully buy into what happened last year. And by the way, some of his numbers, if you look at it analytically, were not very good. And so that's what jumps off the pages for some organizations.
Right. And college basketball last night, by the way, the Billikens and Mizzou don't play until this weekend. But college basketball last night, for all of you that are Kansas grads and Kansas fans, Rocc, Chalk, Jayhawk. Eeyore does your cheers. But here's the thing, and I love you, KU people, love you. But your coach, Bill Self, got ejected last night, and your team lost to Texas Tech 79-50. So it can happen to anybody. It can even happen to one of the best teams in the nation in KU. And Bill Self was ejected for the first time in his 21 seasons as the Jayhawks head coach. So not only does he not have to suffer the consequences of the NCAA when he has 5 level 1 violations, sorry, KU people, but he did. But he also has been ejected now for the first time in 20. Maybe that's their make good. Maybe that's the NCAA's make good for not punishing him for his 5 level 1s, is kicking him out of a game.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that he really didn't get punished for those 5 level 1s. It got reduced to basically a slap on the hand. So
it's a misdemeanor.
I was very surprised. That's the first time that he's been ejected.
21 years at KU.
21 years.
Isn't that amazing?
That's hard to believe.
It is. Yeah.
You know, that
mild-mannered sort.
The reputation of him must go, because referees go into certain games and they know they're just going to get worn out by a coach. It's just, it's well known throughout NCAA, throughout the conference. We're going to get worn out tonight. And I wonder if his reputation, it's got to be, has been, he'll give us an earful, but you know what? For the most part, hey, it's a reasonable earful, and I can handle whatever he says and whatever comes at me. That's shocking that he hasn't been ejected.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I'm just shocked.
Do you remember, and I know we got to get to a break, but 30 seconds, doing games and Barry Hinson stomping his foot?
All the time.
All the time. And you could hear it throughout the arena.
Yes. And he should have gotten into the NCAA tournament, I think it was in 06. And that was kind of the downfall for Missouri State and his time Barry Henson there.
Absolutely.
He was a very good coach.
We're off and running here on 101 ESPN. Coming up with pitchers and catchers reporting today and the first workout tomorrow. What Cardinal player could force his way into an important role with a good spring training? That's coming your way on 101 ESPN.
Woods, we make wet basements dry and broken foundations strong. WoodsBasementSystems.com.
I'm a good person.
Hey, if you're in the market for new floors for your home, some great-looking floors, I want you to go to Ambassador Midwest Floor. You can browse the finest collection of Shaw floors. They have hardwood, carpet, and luxury plank at Ambassador Midwest Floor, and you can save up to $500 on all Shaw floors during their new floor sale. You know, floors are the first thing people notice when they walk into your home, and other than your walls, which you can paint, your floors take up the most space. And since most people replace their floors every 7 to 10 years, now is the time to do it. I suggest you do it right and visit Ambassador Midwest Floor. Find the one nearest you at ambassadorfloor.com and don't settle for cheap floors from the box stores. Ambassador Midwest Floor has the largest selection and you can choose from the latest styles. They really are fantastic. They have an amazing staff and you'll love working with their people. You'll love the product and you can either do it yourself or get the finest installation from their employee team of over 100 master craftsmen certified in the latest floor technology. I've been there recently and I love it and you will too. Love your floors and experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor. A couple of years ago, Andre Pallante surprised a lot of people by having a good spring and making the Cardinals opening day roster. And he is still on the roster now. Kyle McClellan did that. He kind of surprised people when he made the club in 2011. And there are some good arms in Cardinal camp this year. Can we start with this, guys? Can we agree that there will not be a position player that surprises us to make the team like Albert Pujols did in 2001. Can we agree with that?
Oh, no. Yeah, I think that's very fair to say.
Their starting 9 is pretty well set.
And their bench.
And yeah, they're that group of players, that 13, is pretty well set. So what pitcher do you see on the roster that intrigues you, that makes you think, okay, that's somebody that can make the club coming out of spring training?
So if my calculations are correct, there's going to be just one spot left in the bullpen for the Cardinals, right?
I would think that that's correct, Brooke.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that O'Brien is very intriguing for the Cardinals. Now, remember, he's the guy that they got in the trade with Tyler O'Neill. He has a really great fastball slider combination. But if I'm being realistic and honest, guys, and just putting on my Cardinals thinking hat, it feels like Andre Pallante is going to get another chance and that he will be a factor in the bullpen. Don't you guys feel that way?
I do. I think they'll give him every chance to make the club. He could be a left-handed complement to JoJo Romero. I have Helsley, Gallegos, Romero, Kittredge, Middleton as my guys that are solid. Mm-hmm. So that would leave 3 relievers or 5 relievers for my guys, and 6 if it's the one that you just mentioned for 3 spots. John King, left-handed complement to Romero. Nick Robertson gives you durability. Ryan Fernandez is my guy. So he's Rule 5, and I don't know if that would be a surprise, but Rule 5, if he makes the club, he sticks with you all year, or you can give him back to the club that originally had him. And the other guy that would stand out for me is Gordon Graceffo. Very good stuff and has a chance to maybe make this club.
That's my guy because he's got strikeout stuff. The Cardinals liked him last year. They kind of thought that he would be battling for a rotation spot this year, but he didn't have a good year in the minors. But he has electric stuff, and he's a guy, if you go back to Adam, and we always use the Adam Wainwright example because it's a really good one, of spending a year in the bullpen and preparing to be a starter for next year. And we know that after this year, both Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson have options. So the Cardinals can not have them on their roster next year if they choose not to. I could see Graceffo being put in a position to be in the bullpen this year and prepare himself to be in the rotation for next year. I think that's the one guy, because of his stuff, because of his velo, because of what they think of him, has a good chance to make his way out of spring training.
And I think that I was surprised. I was expecting to see him or Michael McGreevy, but correct me if I'm wrong, Graceffo was dealing with some injuries last season, and that seemed to have hampered him.
Yeah, he battled that. I go back to options as well, meaning options for the minor leagues. Liberatore still has an option. King still has an option. So when you have options, sometimes you may have the best camp and not necessarily make the team because you have to have depth in your rotation, which means you go to the minor leagues.
And here's another quick note about Pallante, because the Cardinals have envisioned him in the past as a starter, in the minors. But Tekoa Roby has pitched in 43 games in minor league baseball, 42 starts. He's going to be starting at Memphis. Liberatore is probably going to be starting at Memphis. McGreevy will probably be starting at Memphis. CD Rom, what's his real name?
Drew Rom.
There you go. And then maybe Tink Hence, because it appears they want to give Hence an opportunity to start. I don't know if he's at Springfield or Memphis, but it seems like that Memphis rotation is going to be overloaded with people that they think have a chance to be good major league pitchers.
The other thing, too, you better hedge your bets. If you learned anything from last year, rotation outside of like the 2004 Cardinals, which we've talked about, and guys taking the ball every 5th day with the exception of Dan Herron coming in a doubleheader, you've got to really have probably a 7-man rotation. Guys need to make spot starts, and especially with the age of the rotation, it's not the worst thing to give a guy maybe a downtime off a rotation turn. It's not ideal, but it's something that is in the back of my mind. So really, you're looking at a 7 or 8-man rotation with 3 of those being in the minor leagues.
And I understand the concern with Pallante, because what did we see last season with Pallante? 9 of the 24 games he allowed runs in were multi-run affairs. And I feel like we can all remember, you can envision those moments when that happened, where he came to the game and it felt like things just really got out of hand. But I think with Pallante, what do the Cardinals like, especially in their bullpen with guys like him? They like that he can fill multiple roles, and he has showcased that he can be able to do that. And he's been making changes to his arsenal. I don't know if you guys have seen some of the videos come out this offseason where he's looking to produce more strikeouts. Of course, he's still going to be a ground ball pitcher, but I see him possibly working his way back into the bullpen because of his flexibility.
Out of JoJo Romero, you have lefties that are there, but he is a guy that can get lefties out when he's right. And so that's something else to consider. that could be your other pseudo lefty that you have in the pen.
Right, and that's a good way to look at it because those reverse splits are huge, and the Cardinals definitely look at those. By the way, it seems you mentioned the name Riley O'Brien, Brooke, and he doesn't have a great major league history yet, but it's barely a history. It's not a sample size worth talking about. But last year, 55 innings, 86 strikeouts in the minors. Now, will that translate to the majors? I don't know, but that's what the Cardinals have spent their offseason looking for, is that strikeout stuff coming out of the bullpen. And O'Brien, at least at the minor league level, appears to have figured that part of it out. That's
why I think that he will be an intriguing option and somebody that I am definitely watching during spring training. And look, I know that we're talking about pitchers right now, but we got a text in from the 314, DC. He seems to be the forgotten man. Now, what about the other guys who are kind of needing a big spring training to really push them forward, like Dylan Carlson and even an Alec Burleson?
I don't think there's a competition there, unfortunately. I would agree. I think the outfield is Newt Barr, Edman, Walker, and I think those guys are basically battling for at-bats behind those starting three. And the infield, we know, is set because Donovan's going to play, and then you're going to have Arenado, Wynn, and Goldie. They aren't going anywhere. So I think what's happening with the bench guys is they're battling for at-bats when what I think will be a pretty regular lineup when those guys get days off.
I think it's important that Mason Wynn has a good spring training. Doesn't have to be great, but a good spring training. I don't worry about his defense, but offensively, and they're going to give him every chance when the regular season starts to get on track, even if he doesn't have a good spring training. But just for confidence-wise, I think it's important that he has a good spring training.
Yeah, I do too. And he has the ability. It's just a matter of building that confidence.
Exactly.
And if he does, he can be great.
With Alec Burleson, though, do you guys see him with them bringing in Matt Carpenter? Is that his competition, or how does Alec Burleson fit into this situation? Because I do think he's still an intriguing option. And John Denton had a great article coming out recently where he talked about Alec Burleson and the harsh conversation they had with him going into this offseason about what they want. And they said they want him to be better in the outfield.
I think they like him enough that he's got the teammate. I think it's four-man bench with Herrera, Carpenter, Burleson, and Dylan Carlson. I think that's it. You got your starting nine with obviously Gorman being the designated hitter. I think it's those four.
And when I look at Burleson, I've talked to some people down with the Cardinals. There are some that believe he can really be an outstanding offensive player. So if you can get him some at-bats, get him some starts, you get Goldie off his feet, put Burleson at first. You can also get in some spot starts in the outfield. Somebody needs a day off, someone's struggling, depending on the matchup on the mound. Guy can hit. He hit in the minor leagues, and there's some in the organization that think he could be not elite, but a very good major league hitter.
One other note, going back to the bullpen, Dwayne Statz was inducted last night into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. He's from Southern Illinois, spent time doing the Cubs before he was one of the original broadcasters for the Rays, and his broadcast Andrew Kittredge's entire career. And I asked Dwayne Statz about him. He said, you're going to love him. And he brings exactly what I talked about all offseason, that veteran presence that'll help young players along. He loves doing it. He's 34. He's got his stuff back. Dwayne said that he looked really good coming back last year. So I think the Cardinals have something in Kittredge in terms of both what he brings physically and what he brings mentally and emotionally to the ball club.
He was exactly the missing piece that we were talking about going in. Because remember, you had said they need another veteran, a guy who has more of that major league experience and somebody who's been battle tested in that bullpen, and he just fits that missing piece that they needed in there.
Yeah, Middleton as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
But this guy will be this team's Russ Springer.
Yeah, I think he can be more than that. I think he can be
a better pitcher.
Russ was pretty good at times.
He was good.
But maybe even as the season goes on, more defined roles. It's going to be interesting, like in the first, let's just say, Dodgers series, of how roles are defined. You know, where's Middleton? Where is Kittredge? Because those are two eighth-inning guys. Does Gallegos get a shot at the eighth inning again, even though he was struggling at times last year? These are all options that you have. And I know, Randy, you're fired up about Giovanni Gallegos in that eighth inning.
You said no. Yeah, if you can't see on YouTube, he was mouthing no as Dan was saying that.
Mouthing, no!
Bullpens are hard to predict.
They are.
Yes.
Hard to predict. No doubt about it.
Spring training starting today down in Jupiter, Florida. Coming up, we know Patrick Mahomes is the face of the NFL, and in basketball, it's LeBron James. But who is the face of baseball as spring training gets underway? That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, this is a great time of year to get some work done on the house. And my friends, longtime friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck are celebrating their 56th year in business in the St. Louis metro area. They're one of the nation's top names in home improvement, and they do such an incredible job of fences and decks and sunrooms and screen rooms and pergolas. They use their own professionally trained installation crews and trucks, and they invite you to visit their showroom located in Chesterfield Valley. It really is amazing to see what they can do for your home. Everything guaranteed by 5-year labor warranties, and comprehensive material warranties are also provided by Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and you will love working with them because they're just great people. You get in touch with them by going to chesterfieldfence.com or calling 800-300-4054. You're going to love talking to the first people you talk to. You're going to love dealing with the people that are your salespeople, and you're going to love the people that do the incredible installation of your project. If you have a project that you're thinking about for your home, there's really only one place to call. It's Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Mention the show and get 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The sign you have the very best.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Your St. Louis Blues are back in action tonight, facing off against the Maple Leafs. It's a 6 p.m. puck drop. You can catch the pregame show right here on your home for the St. Louis Blues, starting at 5 p.m. on 101 ESPN and 101ESPN.com. Also in action tonight, now the number 14th ranked Fighting Illini, falling down from 10 to 14 after their loss last week. They face off against Michigan. That is also a 6 p.m. tip-off. Speaking of college basketball, last night another top 10 falls, and oh no, it was KU 79-50 to Texas Tech. That's a heartbreaker. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your road and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Okay, it's Brooke, it's Dan, it's Randy, it's the face of baseball starting the 2024 campaign. All right, guys, who's your face of baseball right now? Brooke, who do you got?
Oh, for me, this is easy and obvious.
Okay.
It's going to be Shohei Ohtani.
Shohei Ohtani, interesting.
I know, are you shocked?
Shocked.
That it's Shohei Ohtani?
Okay.
It might be crazy, I know, because he just signed, a $700 million deal. That now he's the face of baseball, but he was already becoming the face of baseball, not just here in the United States, but internationally. The reach that he has brought in, especially from Asian markets, is huge. And the way that he has just completely changed the game, to see a special player like him, a two-way player like him, is incredible to see. And I thought this was interesting. NBC News, they had this on the Ohtani effect. More people bought tickets to Angels games, home and away, when Shohei Ohtani was pitching. In 2023, that bump represented more than 3,000 tickets per game, on average, a 10% increase.
That's impressive. Daniel, who you got?
I think Shohei Ohtani, and he could be a huge selling point for overseas markets, like Brooke said. Here's the one thing, though. In the Anaheim Angels, LA Angels, he didn't have to speak to the media except like once a week. And I think one of the things that would be beneficial for him and for the league is that if we knew more about him personally, like I know what he does on the field. I know he's a great baseball player. He's a freak. He can pitch. He could probably win a Cy Young. He's won MVPs, hits a bunch of home runs. But do you really know anything about him?
No, we don't. And I don't think he wants us to know. He didn't even want us to know his dog's name.
His dog's name, Decoy. Now I know a lot about him.
Yeah. Okay, now, I don't disagree with your thought process, the foundation of what you're talking about. But let's put together a scenario, okay? Schnucks de pear. You walk in, and there's a section there. You walk in, and there's a produce section, okay? And you've got oranges and apples. And standing next to the oranges, looking at oranges, is Shohei Ohtani. Standing next to the apples, picking up apples, is Bryce Harper. Who gets surrounded more quickly for autographs and is recognized more quickly, Ohtani or Harper?
I think personally it would be Ohtani.
Really?
And
I
that's
think
just
it'd be
me
Harper
personally.
by a mile.
I love Harper. I think he's great, and he's in a media market that you do know more about him. And I think both would be recognized, to be honest with you.
He's been on the big stage. He's been in the World Series.
I know that, but I think when you talk about Ohtani signing for $700 million and more fans, because of that contract, are Googling who is this guy, that you find out more about Shohei Ohtani.
But I think right now, Harper is a more recognizable face of baseball than Shohei Ohtani is. I think Aaron Judge is more recognizable right now than Shohei Ohtani is.
You think it changes by playing for the Dodgers?
Yeah, I think by midseason it could all change. But I'm talking about as we enter to the 2024 season. I think Harper and Judge are the two, and I think Ohtani is lagging behind. Not that he's not a face and won't be the face of baseball, but I think other players are, especially if you see 6'8" Aaron Judge out and about walking the streets of St. Louis, you can say, hey, there's Aaron Judge. You see, Ohtani is 6'5", tall guy.
I was going to say he's tall as well.
He's a tall guy. But I think those other guys are more recognizable as a face of the sport. If you're walking down the street, we talked about football, and Mahomes is walking down, and then right behind him, Justin Herbert is walking down. I think Mahomes is much more recognizable as a face of his sport.
I think that Shohei Ohtani is more recognizable just because of his international reach as well. Now, say that you plop Aaron Judge over in Japan or Korea, somewhere else like that. Are they going to recognize Aaron Judge immediately or know who he is? Or if you put Shohei Ohtani back in Japan, I mean, he is just absolutely swarmed. I remember we talked to Lars Nootbaar about especially Japanese media. You guys have seen it. You guys have seen it's next level. We think that we do a lot here, but media-wise there, it is an absolute circus. Lars Nootbaar had mentioned that when he was in Japan for the World Baseball Classic, that he thought, oh, I can just go out in my hotel and get a snack. And then when he went out of his hotel, he was swarmed by people who recognized him and already knew who he was. So imagine the magnitude that is for Shohei Ohtani. So you have that international reach for Shohei. And by the way, he is working on his English. I don't know if you guys saw that when he accepted the AL MVP award, he actually accepted it in English. So he is working on that. But I do understand, too, from obviously kind of a cultural difference, that he's a little bit more reserved and quiet because of that big media reach that he has.
From father of a 12U high-level baseball player, you're wrong, Randy. These kids all know Ohtani and see him as the guy in baseball. Well, that's good for Bryce Harper that he can walk around and be unfettered.
I don't think that's the point that's being made here, Randy. That, he's not going to be unfettered. But I would say, because of what Brooke brought up, the internet, you want the face of baseball, we're talking now global.
Right.
Yes.
Globally, he is the face of baseball.
Right. I don't think there's any doubt, but this is an American sport. Sure, if you send him overseas, everybody's going to know that Shohei Ohtani in Japan is going to be highly recognizable. And on a global scale, there's no doubt about it that he's the guy. But in America, where Major League Baseball is based and exists, I think right now, and with all due respect to the high-level 12U baseball players, I think that most people would recognize Harper than Ohtani.
Are you beefing with 12U baseball players now?
Yeah, totally.
I don't agree. I think Ohtani would be the guy.
I agree.
Because we got a text earlier that said pretty much he's either Ohtani or Judge. I have a quick question. Was McGuire a face or the face of baseball in 98?
Face of baseball.
Okay, then how the heck does a New York Yankee who sets a home run record, how is it not like number one with a bullet? Like, how is Aaron Judge not the easy
Because
answer?
it's been done
Did baseball
before.
fumble it?
It had been done before. I mean, we went through the McGuire-Sosa thing, and I think some people were worn out by it. And the chase in 98 was different than the chase of Judge.
Yeah.
More people were watching on the East Coast or the Yankees because they're Yankee fans. And I think people were worn out with McGuire and Sosa.
And what Ohtani was doing at the same time had never been done before.
Right.
He was pitching and hitting, so there's actually competition for what Aaron Judge was trying to accomplish
Now,
there.
the Judge thing is huge. Absolutely huge. But we went through McGuire, and yeah, he was the face of baseball in '98, but so was Sosa. I mean, the chase of those two guys, where they were going back and forth down the stretch in the home run race, they both were the face of baseball.
The thing was with Mark, he was just Bunyan-esque. He was a mythic figure because of his size.
He was huge. Now, Randy, another counterpoint here. Who is the face of the NHL? Connor McDavid.
Yeah, but how many people would recognize him? I guess in Canada
But
they
I'm
would.
saying if it's because he's more reserved. Is Connor McDavid the most outspoken, biggest personality? I know that he's actually gotten a little bit better in his interviews, but he's not the most boastful personality. Who's the face of MLS currently?
Messi.
He's not even showing up to certain big events.
But he's on
right
commercials.
Now.
He's recognized.
But is he speaking
He's on
that
a Super Bowl.
much?
You don't have to speak. How many?
So then Shohei Ohtani doesn't have to speak as much. Then.
No, I don't. I never said that. No, he doesn't have to speak at all. How many commercials has Serena Williams done where she's never said a word?
Yeah.
You don't have to speak to be in commercials.
I think it helps not to be in a commercial, but to understand who the player is. If you're asking about the face of the franchise or the face of baseball, I want to know more about Shohei Ohtani. Like, how did you become a two-way player? What's your background like? What's it like being home? What do you think of being in the United States? What's the competition like between this and being at home? I want to know those things.
But I don't disagree with that. But for baseball to market itself, all he needs to have is his face.
The other thing about hockey, you have masks for some guys and the face guard, and you don't see them. It's like football, too. You don't see them.
I think the face of hockey right now is Wayne Gretzky, still. Who's showing up on
That's
Super Bowl
true.
commercials?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The greatest player ever.
Yeah, and a recognizable face.
You recognized him immediately. I also love him on broadcast. He's such a great speaker, and I just love the way that he breaks things down. But I agree with you. I think what Wayne Gretzky still is. But then Sidney Crosby, we just got that text in, and OV as well. You can recognize them immediately.
They're the best players.
Brett Hall was really the face of a lot of things, too.
Right.
He was on Saturday Night Live. He was scoring goals. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. People were paying attention to him getting to 86.
He's on Letterman.
Yeah. I mean, didn't he do a top 10 for Letterman?
Yeah.
He was the face of hockey, I think, at that time.
And incredibly recognizable. And hockey has changed a lot, but I don't see Sidney Crosby being in that same echelon as Gretzky or Hall were in the 90s.
Gretzky's on-ice performance, I think, usurps anybody, obviously, but also they won championships. Sidney Crosby is so guarded in a lot of ways that's the other thing. If you're not guarded and you kind of let people in, which is tough to do in this day and age of social media, I think you get more of a look and maybe become more recognizable.
And by the way, if we were going to do a top 10 of sports, I'll bet you at least 8 of them are NBA players.
Probably right.
Because you can recognize them immediately when you're talking about the helmets, all that stuff. For Sidney Crosby, he's so guarded, but I love that we have Joey at least to tell us some of the stories, because then you get to learn some more of those little quirks he has and personality and stories.
It's great. That's Brooke. That's Dan. I'm Randy. Coming up, it's Take It or Leave It. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho!
Yo-ho. The one of the day.
Tioli next on 101 ESPN. Hey, fellas, how you feeling this morning? If you are already fatigued and it's only 7:47 in the morning, if you aren't as sharp mentally as you feel like you used to be, if you don't have that mental acuity that you used to have, those could be issues with low T. Probably are issues with low T, because as we pass our 30th birthday, our testosterone level drops and our mental sharpness drops and our physical stamina falls off. You aren't able to get through that workout like you used to. You aren't able to maybe walk 18 holes like you used to, but you can restore that with Mentality at lowtusa.com. At Mentality, they have a couple of great clinics in the area, both in Chesterfield and in South County. They have wonderful nurses and doctors that'll help you through the process of determining where your testosterone level is. And then at Mentality, they have an FDA-approved supplemental treatment that will restore your testosterone level back to where it was when you were in your 20s. How great is that? And they're going to work with your insurance company to make sure that you pay as little out-of-pocket expense as possible so that you can get the treatments every week at Mentality. It is amazing. You should check it out. Find out what they do at lowtusa.com. And when you stop by one of their clinics, tell them Randy sent you. You'll feel better with Mentality.
Time for Take It or Leave It.
Want to say something? Put it out there. If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your Take It or Leave It.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Time for Take It or Leave It on 101 ESPN. Get your text in to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! Guys, with all the joy and excitement of the Super Bowl, we missed out on a tragic, sad story on Sunday. Marcus Jordan and Larsa Pippen have apparently called it quits. Larsa taking all of her pictures of Marcus off of her Insta. Marcus doing the same thing, deleting all of his pictures of Larsa off of his Insta. Take it or leave it, they did it on purpose on Sunday to avoid breaking America's hearts.
Oh, so it would get buried?
It's get
that's
overshadowed
a great
a little
PR
bit.
move.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to take that. How sad are you, Randy?
I'm crushed. I can't believe.
You've been talking about this for 3 years.
Well, this is like the epic romance. I mean, Swiftie and Kelsey think they have something. I watched this unfold. I watched it flower. It was real love. It was a couple of soulmates meeting up, and I just can't believe that it's over.
I'm so sad for you, Randy, because I also believed that this was true love, and here we are.
And
What is real?
This is social media, too. I mean, that's when you start deleting social media. That's the final straw.
It is. So I'm saddened, but take it or leave it. At least Larsa and Marcus spared the feelings of America by doing it during the Super Bowl.
Oh, I'm going to take that. They really did look out for us. Now, How happy is Michael Jordan? Let's all be honest here. How happy? Because remember, they were even going on podcasts talking about him being a part of the wedding. How excited is he that he doesn't have to deal with this anymore?
If you were following the social media of both Larsa and Marcus during the Super Bowl, every single one of Marcus's posts was him hanging out with MJ, being like, with the family, MJ squared, with the pops, loving life. So, I think Michael's pretty happy about it, probably.
I would say so. But not Randy.
Hashtag sad.
Hashtag very
You should
sad.
never let your parents control your relationship, people.
No.
This is sad. You hate to see it when this kind of thing happens.
They were a
Get in the
cute
way.
couple.
Be your own man.
I know. We were finally going to have Pippen and Jordan back together again. It was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Well, to, I guess, a happier story. Maybe some people will still have some feelings about this. But yesterday, Tiger Woods finally launched his collaboration, his partnership with TaylorMade. Take it or leave it. You love the name of it. Sunday Red.
Love it.
Love it. Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
It looks really good. Everybody should go look up the logo if you haven't already. I love that he just completely leaned into what he's best known for, Sunday Red. That is iconic. When we were talking about people who are the faces of their sport, obviously Tiger Woods is the face of golf, and I always imagine him in his Sunday Red.
Pretty cool.
Taylor Swift may be the face of football right now.
Yeah,
Although she didn't get over 60 seconds shown in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was 54.
54 seconds.
All right, take it or leave it. Tony Romo takes too much heat.
I'll take that.
I'm going to take it.
I think, do you want a cookie cutter broadcaster or do you want somebody to kind of go outside the box at this day and age and let it rip? I think he's great.
People are just looking for reasons, especially with broadcasters on a national level. People are looking for reasons to rip broadcasters. And Romo, sure, he's not what he was when he was predicting all those plays in that Patriots-Chiefs game a few years ago. But he's entertaining and he knows what he's talking about and gives you decent enough information. I'm fine with him.
I thought he made some great points during the Super Bowl. Now, do I want him talking over Jim Nance's final call? Probably not.
No.
Do I want him talking once they got the Super Bowl, just saying anything? No, I just want to see the shots of winner, loser, fans going crazy. Swifty, whatever. Because you can always go back to the play and break it down. But I just think he takes too much heat. I think he's excellent.
I think so, too. I honestly do enjoy, especially early on. That was fantastic. That was great listening to him. I think now it's because people believe that he talks too much, to your point, Dan, of talking at certain points where maybe he shouldn't. But I honestly enjoy the way that he breaks it down. I think that some people say that he says two things that are too simple and different things like that. But I think about how many people are coming into the NFL now when we're talking about Taylor Swift and the effect that she has. I like that he breaks it down for a way that everybody can understand at any level.
And he goes out on a limb. And I like that. He said, watch this player, or this is single coverage. Don't call the timeout here. I thought that kind of stuff was great. And as a viewer, I started to watch. I paid attention. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, but he drew me in on certain plays when he's saying, this is single coverage, or don't take the timeout here. Make sure that you look at the right side. They're going to have this. Look for this player to go over the middle. I pay attention. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, but he does get my attention.
Absolutely. All right, Matthew, what do you got on the text line?
An NFC team will not win the Super Bowl for the next 5 years. Take it or leave it.
Oh, I'm going to leave that.
I'm going to leave that as well. Although there's a bunch of AFC teams that I can make a case for winning the Super Bowl, starting with number 15, and then going to Justin Herbert, and then going to C.J. Stroud, and the list goes on. But I think an NFC team does win. Got to like those Green Bay Packers.
I was going to say the Packers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams. Bear down, Chicago Bears. We'll fight for the right to victory.
That's what's going to happen, right?
Sure.
I believe that.
Randy, right now you have more collective like positivity than the entire state of Illinois when it comes to Caleb Williams as a Bears quarterback. Good Lord. Take it or leave it. Zach Thompson is in the 5-man rotation by the end of the season.
Leave it. Or take it. Take it. I'm sorry. Take it.
By the end of the season?
He's not in the end of the rotation by the end of June. I'm furious.
Well, come on now. Let's be
What if Steven
honest
Matz
here.
goes out and starts dealing?
Okay, but then he gets hurt.
He has been hurt the last 2 years. Okay.
You can bet on that happening.
Yes.
I'm going to have to take it. I think I can see Zach Thompson being in that role.
Take it or leave it. A Cardinal starter does get hurt during the season.
Randy, I don't want to do this. I got heat yesterday for my worst case scenario, and it was just a worst case scenario, and it was true.
They are older.
Yeah, they're kind of vintage.
You know, you got to think that way maybe at some point, skipping a start or two. Don't be negative, Randy.
I'm not being negative.
This
I'm
is the
just
first day
suggesting-
in which you can go down to spring training and watch grown men play catch.
This is great. Yeah.
Okay, this is
I
a
love
big
that.
deal.
Yeah.
Say the magic words, Randy. I'm not being negative. I'm being realistic.
I'm not being negative. I'm being realistic.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, a bunch of guys in their
Put it right in my
mid-30s.
veins on that one, Randy. Thank you.
Bunch of guys in their mid-30s without steroids.
Take it or leave it. Fat Tuesday food is one of the more underrated holiday meals.
Okay, what is Fat Tuesday food? I know you got the baby cake, right? What else you got on Fat Tuesday?
All I know.
Sweets.
That is a good
Okay.
question.
Well, it's Ash Wednesday's tomorrow, isn't it? Ash Wednesday on Valentine's Day. Interesting. So I need to know what Fat Tuesday food is before I can
Tuesday
take or leave.
Jambalaya,
Okay, take.
etouffee,
Yeah.
Gumbo?
creamy andouille pasta,
Okay, take it. Total 100%
Crawfish
take.
boil.
gumbo,
Yeah.
king cake.
Get on the mic.
Yeah.
He's just, great.
I can't do both.
Swing the mic over.
It's still not close enough for me to use the mouse at the same time. It's a pork fish and grits,
I'll bet you are.
shrimp po' boy. Oh yeah, I'm down with this text. Take it.
Yeah, I know they're listening over at Fenton Bar and Grill. They have the best gumbo. It's sensational. So if you want, I'll bet you we can get some. I'll text over there and make sure that we get some gumbo worked up for tomorrow. And by the way, they had an amazing Super Bowl Sunday. They sold over 10,000 of their trash wings on Sunday over at Fenton Bar and Grill. It was pretty awesome.
Those are delicious
Yeah,
wings.
best trash wings in the Midwest. And so congratulations to them. And thanks. They want to thank all their customers for that record-breaking 10,000 trash wing barrier falling.
Take it or leave it. Another injury year for Mike Trout, and his career will be considered a quote unquote what could have been.
I'm going to leave it because his career is a Hall of Fame career. It
How
won't
many
be-
MVPs already? 3?
Yeah, 3. I guess his career will be comparable to Ken Griffey Jr.'s.
What could have been career for me is Alex Reyes.
Yes.
If he doesn't get hurt
Yep.
and deal with the shoulder issues,
Good call.
I sit there and say, man, what if he was still healthy? I remember his debut, and it was electric.
Oh, man. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And Flaherty, right? He's going to
There's
wind
another
up
one.
being a what if. And Geronimo Pena.
Or even Carlos Martinez sometimes. I know that we
Yep.
got to see him, but if he reached his full potential.
I was thinking of Grady Sizemore
Sizey, yeah.
as somebody who just
Couldn't stay healthy.
Could not stay healthy and was like, 5-tool player out of the gate in his career. He would have been incredible if he just doesn't have those injuries.
Good call. You got one more?
Take it or leave it. If Atlanta gets a third whack at the NHL, then St. Louis should get a third whack at the NFL.
Oh, take it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Of course, I'm going to take it.
Let me guess, neither one of those happens.
Is Atlanta like the number 7 market, number 8 market, though? And still
They're
growing?
big, yeah.
So we aren't exactly growing here in the greater St. Louis area. But we deserve another chance at the NFL because we're good fans. We're the best fans in the NFL.
Atlanta's number 7, St. Louis this year. Guess what, baby?
24?
Dropped down to 24.
I'll be curious about the ratings here in St. Louis for the Super Bowl.
But they were great.
Huge. Got to be top 15 probably in the country.
Oh, yeah. For the AFC game between Kansas City and Buffalo, we were 3rd behind Kansas City and Buffalo.
Wow.
So, yeah, we'll be top 10 in the ratings for the Super Bowl, no doubt about it. We love our sports here, no doubt about it. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
And thank you very much for your texts. We appreciate them. Coming up, what team does have the best chance to dethrone the Chiefs and win the Super Bowl next season? That's coming your way on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Danny Mack for Stewart's American Mortgage on this Tuesday morning. If you're someone looking to purchase a home, refinance, or if you're looking to consolidate some of that ugly credit card debt, maybe you don't know exactly what direction you go in any of these things. Let me make it easy for you. It's call Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage. You know him from the Bagel Loan, and he will help you every step of the way. If it's a new home you're looking to purchase, he'll get you the closing table fast. How fast? Try 10 days. And he'll get you the best interest rate possible. He also has the Bagel Loan, which I mentioned, and that can help you out too. So what is the Bagel Loan when we say that? If you borrow $200,000 or more, there's no underwriting fees, no appraisal fees, no title fees, no lender fees, no closing costs. Stewart, he is your man. He makes it easy. Any questions on rates, the industry, the trends, give Stewart a call. Call him directly. This is personal cell phone 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440, or you can Google the Bagel Loan.
NMLS number 226715.
A fresh perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
So is it a dynasty now?
Yeah, it's the start of one. We're not done. I know we're going to celebrate tonight, celebrate the Pride Wednesday, Kansas City, but we're not done. We got a young team. We'll keep this thing going.
That's Patrick Mahomes talking about the dynasty that is the Kansas City Chiefs. They've won 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls, and, of course, they have won back-to-back. That being the case, the 49ers opened as the favorites to win Super Bowl 59 next year, and it's hard to win 3 in a row. It's never happened before. So the question is, who has, if Kansas City is not going to win the Super Bowl next year, the best chance to defeat said Chiefs? Who has the best chance, whether it's from the AFC or the NFC, to dethrone Kansas City?
Well, I have different tiers to this. So I'm going to start with the 49ers because I think that they are obviously the favorites for the NFC. Once again, if you look at their offseason, they're $3.7 million over the salary cap heading into this offseason. So it's really not that bad compared to a lot of different contenders. And I feel like they're still probably a year away of having to make a big or hard decision with one of their big star players. Now, this could be the last shot for this core group. So this is another reason why I think it's going to be the 49ers again. But, guys, I have some other options as well. I think the Texans are a very interesting and challenging team where they could have a little bit of a budding rivalry going on with Patrick Mahomes, C.J. Stroud with what he was able to do, D'Amico Ryans. And I really like the Texans and C.J. Stroud. Now, another one is going to be the Packers. I think that that's another exciting team. Of course, you have the Chargers as well, all the changes they have coming in with Jim Harbaugh. But I think that those are the more interesting teams going into next season.
I don't know if this is the right way to look at it, but the teams that have the most cap space going in, Commanders, Titans, Patriots, Bengals, and Colts. A couple of those teams I could see if they go out free agency and they're aggressive, having a chance. By the way, 49ers, as you mentioned, are the Super Bowl favorites. Then KC, Baltimore, Buffalo, Detroit. I could see any of those teams doing that as well. I agree with Brooke. The 2 teams I had, if I was going to pick one team to upset, or however you want to look at it, or throw their name in the ring here of the teams that could upset the favorites. Texans, because of C.J. Stroud, DeMeco Ryans, Will Anderson. The one thing that they have, though, is a tougher schedule. They're going to have a tougher schedule this second time through with C.J. Stroud. Green Bay started 3-6, and then they go dismantle Dallas, and they got Jordan Love, who just started looking like a different player at the end of the season. So I look at those two teams.
I think Green Bay is prohibitive in the NFC. We know how difficult it is to come back from a Super Bowl that you lose, and that Super Bowl hangover is inevitable, and I have to think that'll happen to, unfortunately, the 49ers. The other team in the NFC that actually did make a rise, unfortunately, this year was the Rams. They were really good at the end of the season, and they'll be a threat. But I think the two teams that have the best chance to dethrone the Chiefs next year are both from the AFC North. The Ravens were the best team all year until they got beaten at home by Kansas City. They were the best team, and they're going to have the best team again next year. They need to sign one player, Matabike, but they've got everybody coming back offensively. They're very young. They're going to be very good. And then the team that I think has the best chance to dethrone Kansas City, you mentioned them. They're fourth in cap space, and they're already great. It's the Bengals. Getting Joe Burrow back. They've got every item that you need on offense. They've got a very good offensive line. They've got two good receivers. They've got enough cap space to keep everybody around. They got the running back. They've got the pass rush. They've got the corners. They have everything you need to win. And I think that if there is a team out there, it's a Bengals team with a healthy Joe Burrow.
A healthy Joe Burrow, because it's somebody who actually can beat Patrick Mahomes.
They've done it.
And that's the thing, is who is going to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, especially after this season. Remember, there were so many talks, and we discussed this a little bit yesterday, Randy, but this was a Chiefs team that a lot of people didn't think this was the worst version of the Chiefs in the Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid era. And I don't think that it was the worst version now, looking back, obviously. If anything, we'll look at this as being the chapter in this dynasty that is being built as the Spags year, because of the Chiefs defense and what they were able to do. Of course, Patrick Mahomes, all his heroics towards the end there, but this was the Spags year in that chapter.
I know that the old phrase, the old adage is true, that the cemeteries are full of indispensable people. That being said, I think that Chris Jones is an indispensable player for the Chiefs. I think if they lose, all of a sudden that defense goes from great to above average, but not great.
But to counter that, they've had one starter back from their first Super Bowl on defense. They find a way, and that was him. The other thing that I was looking at with Mahomes, he did not have a 1,000-yard rusher, a 1,000-yard receiver this season, and still makes it to the Super Bowl. And you can't say now he can't win on the road. I mean, look at the places he went on the road, so it's hard to bet against number 15. He's that good.
And he makes players better. We saw Rice ascend throughout the course of the season. It looked for all the world in the middle of the season like Travis Kelce was used up, but he wound up being great in the playoffs, and they get a guy like Gray who steps up to become a really good player. MVS is still serviceable for them. They'll be able to go out and find another receiver for whatever reason. Now, Sky Moore didn't work out, but they do a really good job of finding receivers in the second and third rounds, too.
Well, yeah, just look at Rashee Rice and how that worked out for him. Now, going back to the Bengals, because I do think that Joe Burrow is a very interesting prospect, but we got a text from the 314. Bengals losing T. Higgins and their OC, I don't know, referring to what you're talking about. Bill Callahan, of course, going to the Titans as their new head coach, and there's rumors that T. Higgins could possibly even be moved to Tennessee.
But Cincinnati does have the cap space. They've drafted very well. I get that Callahan was the offensive coordinator and taking nothing away from his greatness, but Zach Taylor is their offensive coordinator. Zach Taylor implements the philosophy and the scheme for that offense, and they promoted from within with somebody else that knows the scheme. Now, is that person going to be as good a play caller? Well, Taylor calls it plays too. So I don't know that the Callahan loss is going to be as substantial as it would be for a lot of teams losing their offensive coordinators.
Brian Callahan, sorry. I said Bill, his father, but yes, Brian.
This may be the best time to be a Kansas City sports fan because of what's going on, and they're going to unveil the potential of a new stadium for the Royals today. So then you have the parade tomorrow, and they have spent a bunch of money in free agency in baseball. I mean, this is like the glory times of the Kansas City sports era. That's got to be an amazing feeling these last 3 days. Super Bowl championship, new stadium on the horizon, and a parade tomorrow.
And knock St. Louis out of the MLS playoffs.
Oh,
Ooh, that's the other one.
Don't bring that up, Randy.
We're just talking about things that make Kansas Cityans happy.
Well, they should be happy.
They should be.
Yeah.
Now they need to come over here for some good barbecue.
There you go.
Are you down on Kansas City barbecue?
I like St. Louis barbecue way better.
I haven't had Kansas City barbecue. What is the big
really
difference?
Spicy.
Is it more of a rub?
It's just a spicy sauce. It's not.
It's really good.
It's really good, but I just think ours is better.
I mean, come on. It's really good. It is.
They've got some really good barbecue over there. I'm not saying that theirs is bad. I'm just saying they can come over here for the best.
I just wanted to clear it up.
Okay.
All right.
Set the record straight.
Yeah.
It's 8:13 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. And that is today's Fresh Take. Coming up, we're going to talk to our friend, the TV voice of the Blues, John Kelly from Toronto, next on 101 ESPN. Hey, the new city season is right around the corner, and you need to get together with our friends at Together Credit Union and get one of the exclusive City SC debit cards so that you can get 10% off food and drinks inside City Park, 10% off merch at the Pavilion Team Store, plus, most exciting, express entry into City SC matches. That's with the Together Credit Union debit card. And right now, Together Credit Union, the official banking partner of City SC, is offering you a safe and reliable way to grow your money. Certificates of deposit are attractive investments for new and experienced investors because of the return on your investment, which is fixed and guaranteed. And right now, Together Credit Union is offering two fantastic CD promotions. The first CD rate option, an 11-month CD term with a 5.40 annual percentage yield, and a second CD rate option, a 19-month CD term with a 5.00 annual percentage yield. Both options require a minimum balance of $1,000. Get to your nearest Together Credit Union branch or visit togethercu.org today to learn more. Early withdrawal penalties apply and may reduce earnings on the account. Rate offers are accurate as of January 18th, respectively. Rates are subject to change without notice. Other rates and terms available. Membership eligibility required. Federally insured by the NCUA.
everything St. Louis Blues as we head into the Blues Booth. Presented by Boardwalk Hardwood Floors, a proud partner of your St. Louis Blues. Find your perfect new floor at our 4 convenient locations and online at boardwalkhardwood.com.
Still in Canada. They take on the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. You can hear the pregame at 5 o'clock, action at 6 here on 101 ESPN. And, of course, you can see it on Bally Sports. John Kelly and Jamie Rivers will have the call. And John Kelly, the TV voice of the Blues, joins us now here on 101 ESPN. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Randy. How are you?
Everything's great. And for those that didn't pay close attention over the weekend because the Blues have been out for such a long time, really impressive weekend for the Blues.
Yeah, that's, I think, an understatement, Randy. They win 3-1 in Buffalo on Saturday, and then a very impressive 7-2 victory on Super Bowl Sunday. So how about that? They score a touchdown on Super Bowl Sunday. And Torrey Krug had 5 assists, which was a club record for most assists in one game by a Blues defenseman. So, I think the exciting thing is, Randy, is that the Blues have now won 7 of 8 games, and I'm starting to see this team get more confidence and a bit of a swagger. And that's a great thing to see. So they have a really tough schedule here, Toronto tonight, and then they come home to take on McDavid and the Oilers on Thursday, and then a huge game Saturday against the Predators. But you win 7 of 8 games, that gives you a lot of confidence. I think the Blues have the most confidence they've had this season.
Going back to what you were just talking there with that impressive win with the Blues against the Canadiens, 7-2, you talked about Torrey Krug with his career-high 5 points, and then you have Jake Neighbors. He had a great game as well, Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou. But I want to go to Alexei Toropchenko because is it fair to say that he set the tone of the game with that goal just 25 seconds in?
Yeah, that's a good point, Brooke. It was a highlight reel goal, his 8th goal of the year. And he scored 7 of his 8 goals this year on the road. So he's been a very impressive player. And, that line with Sundqvist and Nathan Walker has been really good. It's an identity line for the Blues. All 3 guys like to play physically. They have pretty good speed. So it's been really fun to watch. But Toropchenko is still a young player. And, he's still a bit inconsistent when it comes to scoring goals. But you see him make a play like that. Going wide with his speed and, his size, he's tough to defend. This is a guy that certainly down the road could score, to me, 15, 20 goals. So I still think he's still scratching the surface of what he could do down the road. He's a really dynamic player when he gets that puck wide because of the rules in the game. It's tough to stop him.
JK, the power play 6th best in the NHL since Drew Bannister and Brad Richards took that over. What are you seeing with that power play?
Dan, it's really amazing. I was looking at the numbers today. When Berube was let go by the Blues, the power play was 8.4%. And it cost them a lot of games. So I think that obviously he's done a lot of things, and not just Bannister, but, the entire coaching staff and, their consultant, Brad Richards. But, I think they've been more direct and, not, passing the puck around the perimeter for the full 2 minutes, looking for that perfect shot and perhaps too many seam passes. They're more direct. And the other thing I see is they have a lot more of a net front presence, and that's important. So, the Thomas goal the other day in Montreal, a great example. It's a rather harmless shot from distance by Robert Thomas. And there's a screen in front, and it just finds its way behind Jake Allen. So I think those are the things that I have seen, a more direct approach and a lot better net front presence since he took over in December.
JK, at some point the Blues will get both Justin Falk and Scott Perunovich back, but it's an interesting thing in hockey and in any sport. When you're rolling, you really don't want to mess with the chemistry, and we've seen it before. The Blues have had teams with a lot of injuries where guys came back. What's happening now, though, is it appears they're really developing some quality depth on the blue line, aren't they?
Well, I think that a player like Kessel has come in, and he has been really solid. And to me, he's got to be in your top 6, regardless of, health and injuries and things like that. He's played that well. So when they do get those players back, it's a good problem to have. I always say internal competition is the best competition you can have. So Scandella's done a good job. Rosen's come up and played a couple of games. And, Rosen was really good last year with the Blues. He was a plus-minus leader on defense for the Blues last year in limited time. He was plus 18 in 49 games. So he's a guy that can come in. He's a bit of a veteran now, so it's a good thing. So hopefully those guys can get back soon. But right now, you're right. You don't really want to mess with a winning lineup, guys. But obviously, especially when Falk comes back, there's no question he comes right back in the lineup.
JK, I want to ask you about the trade deadline just a little bit here. As you mentioned, they're 7-1-0 in their last 8, 5 straight road wins. And I'm not asking you to speak on behalf of the organization. I'm just curious of your thoughts on, do you think in your time in the NHL that maybe this changes a little bit the mindset of what you do going into the trade deadline?
Dan, I think that, big picture where the Blues are in their elevation, the way they are right now. I'm searching for that word.
Evolution.
Evolution. There we go. I'm still early here in Toronto. I don't think that they certainly are going to be, even if they're in a playoff spot, a team that's going to really, be big buyers at the deadline. That they still want to accumulate young players and draft choices and things like that. So unless the bottom fell out of this team and they were, 6, 8 or more points out of a playoff spot, then I think they would be sellers. But right now they're in a playoff spot by a couple of points. So, my guess is they'll be sort of in neutral, and we'll see what happens injury-wise and where they are health-wise at the deadline. But certainly if they're in a playoff spot, I can't see them selling off parts, even though they do have a couple of UFAs. So I think right now the best guess would be they would probably do very little, if nothing, at the deadline.
Finally, JK, you're in Toronto, and it is the Mecca, and the media coverage is unbelievable, and the fans are unbelievable. What's different about being at a game in Toronto than most places?
Well, I think, Randy, when you go to Toronto, and we were just in Montreal, there's just a great atmosphere around the town, and it's a hockey town. And obviously, the Leafs are so popular here. It's the biggest city in Canada by a lot. They're starving for a Stanley Cup championship. They haven't won a cup since 1967. So they're a good team. They've made the playoffs 7 straight years, but again, haven't won in a long time. So I think that the biggest thing is the atmosphere around town and at the games is really good. And it's, obviously a very knowledgeable crowd. But, they have a lot of controversy right now. Morgan Rielly, their number one defenseman, at the end of the last game in Ottawa, he cross-checked Ridley Gregg after he scored into an empty net when he slapped the puck into the net. And he has an in-person hearing today in New York. And I expect him to get probably at least a 5-game suspension. So that's good for the Blues because he won't play tonight. And, of course, they play the Leafs next Monday. He'll probably miss that game as well.
What did you think of that whole situation? I know that it's been a lightning rod of some people on one side, the other people on the other side about the empty net, taking a slap shot, then the big hit. What do you think, JK? I guess maybe different eras of hockey and how we evaluate this?
Yeah, Dan, probably 30, 40 years ago, Ridley Gregg probably would have been stretchered off the ice.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that's the right response or the right thing. To me, in this situation, punishment did not fit the crime. I mean, I don't agree with Gregg slapping the puck into the net like that. I think it's rubbing the opponent's face into a loss, and they're obviously frustrated. It's the Battle of Ontario. It's a big rivalry game, but the response by Rielly is over the top. I mean, to me, he should just come over and grab Gregg or engage him in a fight. But to cross-check him in the jaw is over the top. And the biggest thing is the Leafs are not guaranteed a playoff spot. They're only 4 points ahead of the Islanders, so they're in a battle to get in. And now they might lose their top defenseman, as I said, for whatever, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. It's a big loss for them. So I think that he really, even though you're mad about the loss and what Gregg did, it certainly, to me, was over the top.
John Kelly, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. Have a great time in Toronto today, and we will be tuned in tonight for the Blues and the Maple Leafs.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That is John Kelly, TV voice of the Blues on Bally Sports, with us, as he is every Tuesday morning here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, Matthew needs a fighter. All you need to do is text in 314. I assume you need a fighter, right?
You did indeed win yesterday.
Okay,
it was an odd one, but you did win.
An odd victory.
You're just rubbing it
but
in.
Victory nonetheless.
Rubbing it in, aren't you, Randy?
That was Super Bowl Monday, Dan.
Okay.
You just,
He's at the top of his game.
Yeah, sometimes
as always.
you just got to be fired up a little bit.
Matthew is yawning as you say that.
I was really sad.
What the hell? No, man. I was off the air. You can't just bring that on. That was behind behind the scenes yawning, Danny. What are you doing to me here?
I saw fired up, and I looked over at Matthew, and he was yawning as
the comedic timing was just perfect.
That's what Joe Gibbs would call athletic arrogance. 314-399-9646. 314-399 Yo-ho! Send in your name and the word fight, and maybe you'll fight me next here on 101 ESPN. I want you to be ready for the State Farm Missouri Valley Men's Basketball Tournament coming up March 7th through 10th over at Enterprise Center. And, man, there's some good teams to see this year. Indiana State is ranked number 23 in the nation. They're 22-3, 13-1 leading the conference. But there's no lock that the Sycamores are going to win the Valley Tournament because so often a team will come out of nowhere, and you've got Drake sitting there at 20-5 on the season. Bradley is 17-8. You've got a 16-win SIU team. There are a lot of different permutations that could occur for Missouri Valley Conference's tournament. Arch Madness for the 30th year at Enterprise Center, and you can get tickets now for this great St. Louis institution at archmadness.com. A lot of great local players and some fantastic offers. When you go to archmadness.com, you can get a fantastic value for your family with 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 drinks, and you can enjoy a full session. All session tickets are available right now, and you can take advantage by going to archmadness.com. Check out the Valley Basketball Tournament. It's one of the great events on the St. Louis sports calendar. Get tickets now at archmadness.com.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues back in action tonight, facing off against the Toronto Maple Leafs. 6 p.m. puck drop. Pregame show right here on 101 ESPN starting at 5 p.m. If you want to hear more Blues talking, go back to our Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers podcast as Randy, Danny, and Brooke talked it over with TV voice of the Blues, John Kelly. Also in action tonight, it's the number 14th ranked Fighting Illini facing off against Michigan in a home battle in the Big Ten. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Fight! In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke Grimsley here alongside Danny Mac, Randy Carricker, and Matthew Rocchio. And it is now time for the fight. And our fighter today is Eric. Eric, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing great. Is this your first time facing Randy in the fight?
It is.
Nerves?
Yeah, a little bit. A little different once you're on the phone.
It is. Any advice, Stan, that you'd like to give?
Oh, just get after him. Don't have nerves. Just get after him. I know you can do it.
I'm going to try, Danny Mac.
All right. Go for it.
All right. You ready for question number one, Eric?
I am.
75% of the AFC East franchises have gone to 3 straight Super Bowls in their history. Which is the only team that hasn't? Is it the Patriots, the Jets, or the Dolphins?
Going to go with the Jets.
Is that your final answer, Eric?
That's the final answer.
In the Super Bowl era, only 2 players have led the NFL in receiving TDs more than 3 times. Jerry Rice and who else? Is it Rob Gronkowski, Randy Moss, or Terrell Owens?
I got to go with T. Owens.
Okay. Question 3, please.
Who is the active career leader in playoff passing touchdowns? Is it Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, or Aaron Rodgers?
That was for the playoffs?
Who is the... Yes.
Okay. And Mahomes did it. I'm going to go with Mahomes.
Over the last 25 championships, which league has the most parity with 16 different teams winning? Is it Major League Baseball, the NFL, or the NHL?
Going to go with baseball.
Okay, Eric. 4 up, 4 down. Let's see how you did. When we get Randy in here, how do you feel?
Not so good.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people feel when they're taking on Randy, but fear not. You never know what's going on in Randall's world.
Especially on a
Hopefully
Mid Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Are you ready, Randy?
I'm as ready as I'm going to be, Daniel.
All right, here we go with question 1.
Say hi to Eric, by the way.
Eric?
Yes.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good morning, Randy. I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. We appreciate it.
All right, Randy. Question number 1. 75% of the AFC East franchises have gone to 3 straight Super Bowls in their history. Which is the only team that hasn't?
Well, the Dolphins have. The Bills have. The Patriots have. So I would guess the Jets, who have only played in 1 Super Bowl, would be the team that has not.
Final answer, Randy?
Final answer, Dan.
In the Super Bowl era, only 2 players have led the league in receiving TDs more than 3 times. Jerry Rice and who else?
Jerry Rice and I think this comes down to Moss or 2. And I think I'm going to...
time, it's so dumb. Every time.
I think I'm going to... Moss had that rookie year, and then he had the year in New England. But he really didn't do anything with the Raiders or after New England. I'm going to go with 2.
Final answer?
Yes.
Question 3. Who is the active career leader in playoff passing touchdowns?
Well, Mahomes has a lot, but I don't think that maybe he. Let's see. You got Mahomes right now. It's not Burrow. Let's see. NFC. Guess it could be A-Rod. No Big Ben to have anymore. Trying to think who's. You know what? I'll just do the lifeline. I'm sure I've named a couple of them, but we'll just we'll figure this out.
Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, or Aaron Rodgers?
Okay, good. I'm going to go with the guy who's been around for 18 years and played in the playoffs, most of them. I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers.
Over the last 25 championships, which league has had the most parity with 16 different teams winning?
So these are the 4 major pro sports leagues, right?
Yes.
All right. Over the last 25 years, so the Yankees were 96. That's when their little dynasty started, and they have, let's see, so that 99. So, but I'm still going to, because of the Yankees. Okay, but they haven't won as many championships. Okay, so in the NFL, Patriots, I think, knock the NFL out. In the NBA, I think that a couple of franchises, notably the Lakers and the Spurs, will knock the NBA out. So that gives us the NHL and MLB. And we have not had we had Tampa. They won 3. And in baseball, you really have not had a dominant franchise. If you go to 25 years, that'd go to 99 Yankees, 2000 Yankees, and then that's it. In 09, so they've won 3. Have you had another dominant baseball franchise? Doyers have won once. Giants have won 3. So I'm going to go with hockey being the sport that has had. Can you repeat the question? The fewest number.
Let me repeat it for you. Over the last 25 championships, which league has had the most parity with 16 different teams winning?
I'm going to go with hockey having 16 different teams winning. Even though you've got both the Lightning and I guess the Penguins too. But that one's a hard one to think of right off the top of your head. So I will just go with hockey.
We have a tie in today's fight, which means we got to go to the tie breaker in today's fight. And that means let's go through the questions or the rules, I should say, really quickly here. I'm going to read the question for the tiebreaker. We're going to give Randy a chance to write down his answer, and then we will get your answer audibly, Eric, and whoever is closest to the pin is going to be the winner of today's fight. Do you understand those rules, Eric?
I do.
And Randy, do you understand the rules?
I understand the rules, sir.
Do you have paper?
I do.
All right, we're ready to go then. All right, here we go. Pete Rose is the all-time hits leader with over 4,200 hits, but is also the all-time games played leader with how many? Pete Rose is the all-time hits leader with over 4,200 hits, but he is also the all-time games played leader with how many? Randy Kerker writing down his answer right now.
I am actually doing math, brother.
Okay. Randy Kerker doing math that will lead him to writing down his answer.
Hold on. Hold on here. Let's see. Okay.
Lindenwood Education, Randall.
It's working hard here. I need a calculator. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go with. This is totally.
Hear the marker scratching across the paper.
Yep. Here we go, kids.
Okay. I got to write that down. Sorry. Okay. I got your guess now, Randy Kerker. All right, Eric.
That's not a good guess.
What is your guess, sir?
That's a tough one, but 3,100.
How about that?
You guessed 3,100 even. Randy Kerker, how many did you guess?
I guessed 3,126.
All right, so the question then is it under 3,100? Is it over 3,126? Or do I have to do a little math because it's somewhere between there? Let's ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Kerker. The fight is driven by Car Shield. Plans to fit any budget. Visit carshield.com today.
Just win, baby.
I'm sorry, Eric. Unfortunately, it was over 31-26. Pete Rose played 3,562 games to get to those over 4,200 hits. So Randy Carricker was a little bit closer to you today, and he wins the tiebreaker, and therefore he wins the fight. Good job, though.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Matthew,
Thank you.
I thought, and I could be wrong about this, I thought Randall won in regulation.
No, he got 2 right.
I thought he had 3.
No, he answered NHL. Here we go.
Okay.
We'll go through them. 75% of the AFC East franchises have gone to 3 straight Super Bowls in their history. Obviously, the Jets is the only one who have not. In the Super Bowl era, only 2 players have led the NFL in receiving TDs more than 3 times. Randy Moss led the league 5 times. That's Randy answered T.O. on that one. The active leader in career playoff passing TDs is, in fact, Aaron Rodgers with 45 to Patrick Mahomes 41. Randy Carricker got that one right for his second one correct. And then for the fourth one, over the last 25 championships, which league has the most parity with 16 different teams winning? Randy Carricker answered NHL. It was the MLB that has had 16 teams win. The NHL has had 14 teams win. NFL with 13, NBA with 11.
So Randy got 3 right.
Randy got 2 right.
No.
3.
Randy got Aaron.
I got 2.
Oh,
Okay.
you got the NHL one.
Yeah, I said NHL. Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to back you up, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate
trying
it.
No,
to
I
help
was
you out.
confused as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's
fair
the
enough.
fight for you here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, what sport should get a non-sports star like Taylor Swift involved like she is in the NFL? What sport needs that most? That's next on 101 ESPN.
Brooke, Dan, and Randy here. Dan, what happened to Randy?
So Chick-fil-A has shown up and Randy has disappeared. Chick-fil-A kind enough to bring in some food for the morning drive, and I'm sure there's so much food for the folks after us, like Josh Ennis and PK and Ferrario, then the fast lane. So Chick-fil-A has brought in all this food, and amazingly, Randy disappears.
It's very interesting how that played out. He literally went over there and said, "You guys can take it from here."
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was like, no big deal. I'm out of here. And so he's gone, and Randy will enter at some point in this segment, potentially. And the question that we pose to the text line and ourselves, what sport should get what non-sport star? Like Taylor Swift is involved in the NFL. Hockey had Carrie Underwood, Mike Fisher. Dion Phaneuf had Elisha Cuthbert. Baseball had Mariah Carey with Jeter. So which team needs which female celebrity to increase its Q rating?
Q rating. And also just for people who to understand what Q rating means, how would you best explain it?
I would say that it is the knowledge of a person, to break it down, the popularity and knowledge of a person by the general public.
This is a tough one because we have Mike Fisher listed. He no longer plays. He's retired. But having Carrie Underwood involved with the NHL, that was a pretty big deal.
It was.
For a while there.
Yeah.
She's great on the Monday night or the Sunday night football intro. Carrie Underwood.
Right, yeah, she's fantastic.
So that's one that moves the needle a little bit.
She is involved. So globally, Taylor Swift is number one. Can we agree that Beyonce is number two?
Ooh, I think that's a 1 and 1A possibly.
Okay, so
I think they're both number one. That's hard. And Beyonce, by the way, just came out with a country album, so she is rivaling Taylor Swift for that whole. Well, Taylor Swift started in country, and now she moved over to pop. So we're having a big old switcheroo now.
Did Beyonce ever perform?
She did
Super Bowl? I don't
Yes.
remember. Okay, I'm assuming she did.
So she's already involved with the NFL. First of all, I don't think it's funny because the NBA, their players are so well known that they don't need a superstar. They've got Curry, they've got LeBron, they've got all of their superstars, a lot of the Warriors guys. Globally, Luka is a superstar. I don't think the NBA really needs that. Not that the NFL did, but I don't think that the NBA needs that bump from having a non-sports star watching and being in the stands at their sport.
Because then, they are the big stars, as you're mentioning there. I think Jason Tatum is dating a famous singer, I believe. I do believe. But still, at the same time, Jason Tatum's very recognizable, so he's big at his own right. But I do believe that he is dating. Oh, yeah. That's what I was thinking.
So I think what baseball needs, though, they need somebody to bring a young audience to them, like Taylor Swift has brought to the NFL. That not, again, like the NFL needed it, but somebody who can help cultivate a younger audience. And it doesn't need to necessarily be a female. It could be a male, but somebody whose presence will cause young people specifically to want to tune in to watch games.
So I was thinking outside the box here, and I thought Drake. Was somebody.
I think that's a great call.
That would, by the way, Drake is in town. Performed last night. Maybe he's listening.
Really?
Yeah, my daughter needs a ticket for tonight. So, Drake, if you're listening, send one over.
Yeah, we would appreciate it, Drake. He's a huge sports fan. And he's a Blue Jays fan, right? I think he's
from Canada.
Yeah.
Huge NBA fan.
And whoever's winning
Kentucky
at the
basketball
time.
fan. Yes, he's definitely a big bandwagon-ish fan. But Drake, still, we want tickets if you're listening.
Yeah.
I'll take that back.
Yeah. How many tickets do we need?
Are you going, Randy?
I can go.
Would you go?
If Drake sends tickets over, I'm in.
Do you know any of his tunes?
I know that I would know them, but I can't sing along with them.
Okay. All right. That was kind of with me with Usher. I knew all of them, but I couldn't name them. When he did that, I thought he was amazing on his roller skates.
Yeah, he's great. So is Usher somebody that we need to get him? And obviously, again, he's associated with the National Football League. The NFL has really done a great job because of the Super Bowl halftime. They've done a great job of integrating superstars into their sport already.
Well, and I do get a little bit jealous, too, when I see, and it's the Super Bowl, so you're going to have a lot of celebrities. But even when it's not the Super Bowl, when you see certain games, certain teams where they have celebrities that attend regularly to their games, of course, in New York and L.A. with the Dodgers, when you look around, you see that. I wish we could get something like that in St. Louis. Now, it's always a big deal when you get Wayne Gretzky in the building, when you get Brett Hull in the building, then that's very exciting. But it would be nice every once in a while to get another St. Louis celebrity to come in. I know they have the actress Pam from The Office.
Jenna Fisher.
She comes in every once in a while.
314 says, and this is a good one. I hadn't thought about it. MLB had Kate Upton with Justin Verlander.
There's a good one, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know that they utilized her properly. I don't know if she went to a lot of games, but that's what we're talking about. Have her shown on TV for 54 seconds during a game.
Is it going to make you think it moves the needle, though?
No.
I mean, Taylor Swift moves the needle, and everybody is watching football, it seems like. Nelly and John Goodman at Cardinals games. That was from the 314.
Yeah, a couple of years ago when Albert did the high five with Nelly.
Yeah, that was
really cool.
Yeah, Nelly is a good one. John Hamm, he is everywhere. He was definitely around a lot during that Blue Stanley Cup run, and that was really exciting to see. I'm trying to think somebody else. Well, in baseball in general, you have Vanessa Hudgens, who's married to Cole Tucker, but he's not exactly. You need the level of that player kind of to match-ish.
How about
that
if Bennifer goes to Red Sox games? How about Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez?
Yeah, they sit in the front row right next to the Red Sox dugout. That's one that moves the needle a little bit.
Oh, Will Ferrell is a big LA Kings fan. That is exciting when you see him around.
Yeah. He is at a lot of, Tom Hanks goes to a lot of Dodger games, and they always show the celebrities that are there.
Yeah.
There's celebrities that are always at Dodger games. Always.
Yeah, all the time. And the Dodgers are the team that need somebody to date that Hollywood starlet or superstar, right? If you have Ohtani on the team already, and then you have somebody else in the stands, like Mahomes is on the Chiefs and Kelsey is dating Taylor Swift. That's what you need in baseball. That's what I'm talking about here.
What about Miley Cyrus? That's one that got brought up.
I don't know. She's obviously a big star right now. But again, does she move the needle enough? Like, would she move the needle as much as the singer Selena Gomez? If Selena Gomez is dating a baseball player.
Probably not.
That's a big deal. Yeah, if Selena Gomez was dating a baseball player, that would be a pretty big deal. Because I think she's in that, we're talking about A-list category, right? What about when we're looking at that younger audience? Olivia Rodrigo, somebody texted that in. She is big.
Get her into a suite at Dodger games dating a Dodger player. There you got something.
Anytime that you say younger generation, I just realized that as that left my mouth, it makes me sound like an old lady.
I was just going to say, Randy and I are the worst two people to ask for this segment.
Right. One other note, by the way, you brought up Tom Hanks, and I did not realize this. Daniel, remember Theodis Brown?
Yeah.
At UCLA, he was roommates with Tom Hanks.
I did not know that.
No, Theodis Brown, the Cardinals had a couple of running backs, Otis Anderson and Theodis Brown, and there was an Otis and Theodis radio show on KMOX back in the day, and then Theodis wound up with the Chiefs, and when the Cardinals left in people complain now about the Chiefs wanting to be part of this market. When the Cardinals left after the 1987 season, after that season, the Chiefs sent Theodis Brown to St. Louis to try to sell tickets, and he was successful, sold a bunch of tickets, because that's when Marty Schottenheimer took over and they started winning a lot. But yeah, I didn't realize this. Theodis and Tom Hanks were college roommates at UCLA.
Oh.
So now you know.
From
via radio.
The YouTube chat, I forgot about this. Matt Kemp dated Rihanna.
Oh, yeah, right.
That was a big deal.
And And baseball, that's something that baseball needed to take advantage of. I didn't think, I didn't let it pass before the game the other day. Did you see that Goodell was talking to Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
I don't know if Bud Selig talking to Rihanna was going to be as effective.
What do you think the conversation was about with Goodell and Swift? Thank you for what you've done. You've generated almost $400 million for us.
I think so. And cultivated a new group of fans that we would have never had a chance to have the eyeballs of before.
I bet leagues would love it if you had superstars that followed a particular player.
Yep.
I don't know if it moves the needle in other sports, though. Because baseball's regional, hockey's regional.
A lot more games.
National stage with football.
Right. Makes a huge difference. That the Chiefs, this year, 17 games the Chiefs played. 7 of them were prime time or that one morning game. And 7 more were in the 325 national TV spot. So you saw a lot of Taylor Swift for 20 seconds a game, but you saw a lot of her because 14 times the Chiefs were on national TV.
Yep.
It makes a difference. That's Dan. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up, we've got our Rush Hour Reset on 101 ESPN. Hey, our friends at the Fenton Bar and Grill turned out 10,000 of the greatest trash wings you'll ever have on Super Bowl Sunday, and folks really enjoyed it. And that tells you a lot, that the best wings in town were sold to the tune of 10,000 of them, as Fenton Bar and Grill set a record. And if you want to enjoy the best trash wings you'll ever have, head to the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. Easy to find. Just go over to the soccer park and follow Rudder Road to the Fenton Bar and Grill. You can learn more at FentonBarandGrill.com, and they have great food. In addition to those absolutely glorious trash swings, they've got Meatloaf Mondays, and they've got the beautiful open-faced turkey sandwich today for their special. And for Fat Tuesday, you like gumbo? That's their soup of the day, many days, and it is fantastic at the Fenton Bar and Grill. And they have great servers. You're going to love talking to Megan, who's wonderful over there, and Colleen, and Kelly, the feisty redhead, and Elisha will be there tomorrow. You'll have a great time at the Fenton Bar and Grill. They're all about sports, they're all about great food, and they're all about treating you well. Learn more at FentonBarandGrill.com. Head on over, have lunch, have dinner, have a happy hour, and when you go, tell them Randy sent you.
Recapping the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
Our friends at Chick-fil-A are opening a new store. It opens Thursday at Olive and Ross in Creve Coeur, where the old TGI Fridays was. And our friend David Bruce, who's the proprietor of said store, just brought by some of the Chick-fil-A mini biscuits and some of the sandwiches, and it's all delicious from Chick-fil-A. And they were great partners of us, along with Adam Wainwright's Big League Impact Foundation. So Thanks to Chick-fil-A, and good luck to them as they get things rolling on Olive in Creve Coeur on Thursday.
Oh, Chick-fil-A is so good, Randy. I already have eaten half of my chicken biscuit, and I had 3 chicken minis. I'm going to work out later, so I'll be okay. But it is so, so good. And Chick-fil-A was my first job, and there's not many restaurants that I worked at that I would actually go back and eat at because... If you worked in the restaurant industry, you see a lot of things where you're like, I won't go back at that restaurant and eat there. But Chick-fil-A is one of the restaurants I worked at that I would 100% always go back to.
I don't know one kid I've ever heard of say, I don't want Chick-fil-A. Not tonight.
Sundays. They all want it on Sundays.
As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever heard of a adult say, I don't want Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is the best.
Yeah. I'm wearing the colors right now. I've got a Chick-fil-A Nike golf cap on. I held up I'm holding up right now the little cow, the Eat More Chicken cow. So
got your Chick-fil-A hat. Yeah. You were decked out.
What do you think the traffic is going to be like on Olive?
It'll be substantial.
Okay. It's right down the street here from the station.
Yeah, it's awesome. The most watched TV program ever was Super Bowl 58. CBS on all of their platforms drawing an average of 123.4 million viewers. A record 202.4 million watched at least part of the game.
Wow. I mean, it's a behemoth. Absolute behemoth. And Brooke wants it on a Saturday. I would like to see it happen on a Saturday just once. Just one time. See what kind of rating you get. And then Sunday you can enjoy it. Or the other thing is push it back, and President's Day is the next day, and you get that day off.
And the logic behind it with both of us is that you have that next day off, because on Sundays you're off. I do understand from a TV and business standpoint that you have had that where on Sundays most people are at home. On the weekends they're typically out and about and doing things, but on Sunday you're at home getting ready for Monday. So I do understand that aspect for it, but I feel like with the Super Bowl, wherever you put it, people are going to watch it, and they'll work their lives around it.
There's no doubt that fans are going hardcore, and many casual fans are going to watch, but you do have a more captive audience on Sunday night than you do on Saturday night, because people are inclined to do things on Saturday night. And if this was a problem that was fixable by the NFL, and they could have made more money on Saturdays. They've done 58 of these now. I'm guessing that they have pretty good data to tell them that this is working pretty well. And I would guess 202 million people watching at one time is pretty good evidence to them that Sunday's working.
What do you think about putting it on more platforms? So you have over-the-air television, but then you put it on all your streaming sites. You put it everywhere and try to figure out the rating that you get on that. Because some people just, they stream everything. You know, and I know you can get your main stations on streaming, but put it everywhere.
Had to do it. And it was available the other night on CBSSports.com. Obviously, Paramount Plus. You could watch it pretty much anywhere. They had for the kids, they had the Nickelodeon feed. They had the Univision feed. So it pretty much was available
wherever you went.
Every CBS platform that was available.
And it was 123, right? 123 million?
On average, yeah.
That was across all those platforms.
Correct.
Now, the Super Bowl party I was at, we watched on Paramount Plus, and it worked really well. But there was a couple of times that because of streaming, it did cut in and out a little bit, or lagged a little bit.
That did not happen on Spectrum.
I wonder if you went to the ratings of different countries where they're going, so they're playing in different places. Has it truly made an impact where those places see a football game and then all of a sudden the ratings go up in London, let's say?
Danny, I think that's a really interesting question. I have to believe in London they're way up, but last week they announced that they're going to play games in Brazil and in Madrid, Spain. So was the interest of those countries peaked at just a little bit so that they could get viewers there? And again, they'll sell advertising in those countries, and they'll clean up.
So London, I would anticipate, because they've been there a bunch, that they've gotten their sports fans that got involved in football, and they may tune in. Let's just say they went to one game and didn't pay attention to anything else in the regular season, but then they will pay attention to the Super Bowl. I do think that's a fair assessment of probably what's happening.
I agree. ESPN.com has their way too early college football top 25 rankings. They have Georgia number 1, which surprises me. I figured Ohio State would be number 1. Ohio State right now is number 2. Oregon is 3rd. Texas is 4. Notre Dame 5, Ole Miss 6, and your Missouri Tigers are number 7 in the way too early preseason top 25 poll at ESPN. Mizzou 7, Penn State 8, Alabama 9, Utah 10.
Not surprised whatsoever, especially with what they were able to do last season, and it's only going to get better from here. You're returning Luther Burden. You're returning Brady Cook. Of course, you lose Cody Schrader and some other guys on the defensive side of the ball, but still, the way that Eli Drinkwitz has been able to utilize recruiting, NIL, and the transfer portal, I'm not surprised that that's where they're at right now.
I have friends of mine that are Missouri fans and graduates of the school, and they say they wish it was tomorrow. They wish the season was tomorrow. They're so excited about what Mizzou is bringing back, and minus Cody Schrader, but then they pick up one of the top running backs in the country. I got to wonder how Eli is able to navigate right now recruiting and NIL and the transfer portal, how his stock has risen dramatically because of the season they just had. And let's say they have a really good year next year, and by all accounts that they will, what Missouri's going to have to do to try to keep him.
It'll be more difficult, although he is among the top 10 highest paid coaches in America now.
Yep.
I think now he's actually with Kalen DeBoer going to Alabama. I think he's among the top 9. And I was with Howard Richards and Mike Kelly last night and asked how Eli likes doing the CEO thing, because Chip Kelly, obviously, he didn't want to do the CEO thing. He wanted to coach. And they said that Eli is really enjoying being the CEO and overseeing everybody. And his core job is recruiting, which he loves. So I think it'll be hard for other schools to replicate what he has at Missouri. And one of the big things he has, fortunately for him, is Curtis Gregory in the Missouri State Legislature, ready and willing and waiting to write new legislation to help him.
I think that that's a huge part of it. And then, by the way, you have that $62 million commitment, investment from that anonymous donor. Randy, you're so generous for you to do that.
I just want to see them win.
Yes, and I know that doesn't directly go to him, but another reason why it helps is because then you have the upgrades to the facilities, which is another thing that could keep Eli Drinkwitz around, because he is really at the forefront of building something huge there at Mizzou.
No doubt.
I mean, how many coaches nowadays say, I really enjoy recruiting. This is a lot of fun, re-recruiting my guys to make sure they don't go somewhere. I'm recruiting somewhere else like Ohio State, getting their players or whatever school you want to throw out there. I just don't hear guys saying this is a lot of fun ever since the transfer portal opened up.
Whenever you run into Eli Drinkwitz, he's got his head down at that phone.
Yeah.
He's always talking to somebody.
And Luther Burden, when he got him, that was such a game changer for what they did, trying to make sure and keep local talent in St. Louis. And they're going to get a guy that's going to be one of the top picks in the NFL draft next year.
Maybe the number 1 pick overall.
You think he could go that high?
Pro Football Focus had him as in their mock for 2025 as the number 1 overall pick.
Wow.
So one other quick note about this top 25, 10 SEC teams in the top 25. Georgia, and they're number 1. Texas is number 4. Ole Miss 6. Mizzou 7. Alabama 9. And then you move down to LSU number 12. You've got Oklahoma number 14. You've got Tennessee 16. You've got Kentucky 23rd and Texas A&M 25th. 10 of the top 25 from the SEC.
Pretty tough conference.
Yeah, it'll be really tough.
But
it just means more.
Missouri's conference schedule lines up for them this year.
It does.
Alabama will be probably the toughest as you look at it. But, man, they've got a chance to run the table and do some things here.
Yeah, it's
they
amazing.
do. It's set up for them perfectly. Now, I'm looking forward to that Alabama game because of all the changes. But what's another game that you guys are looking forward to on the schedule? Because for me, it's Oklahoma. Because it seems like there's a little bit of a rivalry going on.
I'd go with the opener. And I know they're not playing, who is the opener this year?
BC? Is that the BC game?
Yeah, I think it is BC. I know that there are better... To your point, Brooke, there are better matchups, no doubt about it. Oklahoma, Alabama, when you get into conference schedule, the SEC, I just can't wait to see him back on the field. That'll be the most anticipated game for me, just to see him back, see what they got.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm going to count the Big Ten teams. 4, not nearly as many. It's ridiculous that the SEC has 10, and the Big Ten only has 4. So The SEC's still going to be dominant, at least before the season starts. There's your rush hour reset.
I was sorry to interrupt. I was going to say somewhere CD's so mad about that.
Oh, it just means more.
Man, what does it say about Chip Kelly, UCLA head coach, living in L.A. and says, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yep.
I mean, it's a rat race, man.
Well, and Ohio State went all in when they lost to Mizzou.
Yes, they did.
They bought that safety from Alabama. They went and got a quarterback. They were, by many accounts, the number one team in the transfer portal. Spent a lot of money there. Rebuilt their coaching staff. If Bill O'Brien's there, he leaves, a former NFL head coach, and they get Chip Kelly from UCLA. They're all in. A lot of pressure on Ryan Day, but there should be no way they can lose.
Got to beat Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Got to be Michigan.
And Michigan loses not only Harbaugh, but they lose their quarterback in McCarthy. They lose Blake Corum. They lose a couple of offensive linemen. It's going to be tough, but Sherrone Moore had a great year last year. They're ranked number 12, by the way. Michigan's ranked number 12 in the preseason poll.
Randy wants to go to break so quickly because his sandwich is sitting there and he wants to devour it.
The Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs, they have a ton of free agents this offseason. A lot of free agents in Kansas City getting ready to leave. Is there a way for another team in the National Football League to derail the aforementioned Super Bowl 58 champion Kansas City Chiefs? They've won 3 out of 4 Super Bowls. Is there a way for another team to derail the Kansas City Chiefs as long as they have their quarterback, a guy they traded up to number 10 to get a few years ago, played 6 years as a starter, 7 in the league. Remember, they gave him a year to develop under Alex Smith. But as long as the Kansas City Chiefs, who play at GEHA Stadium just outside of Kansas City, is there a way for somebody to beat the Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, who's, by the way, now the best coach in the history of the NFL, led Kansas City Chiefs?
I don't think you want your chicken biscuit. So I'll take it off your hands. You
see what you did? You see what you did?
I see what he's doing. I just stay out of the fray.
Guys, it's that romantic time of year again. Literally tomorrow. Did you know this? Literally tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Look, I know it's really stressful searching around trying to find the perfect gift. And we're actually about to have a segment talking about this, about if Valentine's Day is overrated or not. Listen to me. It is not overrated. I have a place that you can go to. Go visit my friends over at Decor Interiors and Jewelry. It's in Chesterfield at Olive and Woods Mill Road. Right when you walk in, you will just be blown away by all of the options they have. The owner, Joe, you know that kind of guy that he really doesn't know a stranger? That is Joe. He loves taking care of his customers, and he just really treats you like family, and his staff is just like him. They will greet you with a smile, and they'll actually take the time to really educate you on what you're getting. Whatever your budget is, they'll work with you for what you're looking for. Whether it's a diamond heart necklace or maybe some more diamond heart jewelry, or if you're thinking of popping the big question, look, I know it's Valentine's Day. You can still do that. Decor is the place to go. It's where I got my engagement ring, and I absolutely love it. I get compliments on it all the time, and they can size and set your ring in just 24 hours. That's the kind of unique and special service I was telling you about. So go stop by Decor's showroom today and tell them that I sent you. Decor, always unique, always affordable.
One of the reasons that the National Football League has so much parity on a regular, semi-regular basis is they have the salary cap to prevent teams from keeping all of their good players, and they have the draft to allow the lesser teams, theoretically, to get good players that are inexpensive. But it's not working lately because the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. Now, they're probably going to lose some really good players because of the salary cap this offseason. Chris Jones is a UFA. He's their best defensive player. Sneed might be their second best defensive player, and he is a free agent. Willie Gay, their left tackle, Donovan Smith. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be allowed to walk. Jerick McKinnon, Drew Tranquill, Mike Edwards, Mecole Hardman. That being said, with the way they draft, and every year they start with a bunch of guys you've never heard of being good players for them, because they have number 15, is there a way to derail this train?
I don't know how you can at this point. I thought that this was the year that if you were going to knock off the Chiefs, that this could have been the year. We have those continuing narratives of what will this offense look like without Tyreek Hill? What will this offense look like without this or that? Patrick Mahomes continues to find a way to rise above it, and so does Andy Reid. This just felt like the year that you could have knocked them out, but at the same time, I don't know how you can slow them down after seeing everything that they were able to do this season. And once again, it goes back to Patrick Mahomes, but it goes back to Spags and what he's been able to do with this defense.
One player, Jones, from the first Super Bowl appearance that they had with this group, and then no 1,000-yard rusher, no 1,000-yard receiver, and they find a way. And I look at Mahomes when he first got into the league, more of a gunslinger. And not to say that he's not now. He's a smarter player.
He is.
Yes.
He's a smarter player, so why would you bet against Patrick Mahomes and what he could do with any cast of characters that he gets?
The only thing that will derail this team with Patrick Mahomes is when Kelsey retires. But he's coming back next year. But Kelsey, they showed last year when they didn't have Tyreek Hill anymore, but still won the Super Bowl, that they can win games. And now we see Rashee Rice rising to a level where he may be able to match what Tyreek Hill did. And they've got other young receivers. They probably won't bring Kadarius Toney back, but they still think that Sky Moore has some ability. I don't know if he'll be that guy, but they'll draft somebody in the second round. And they essentially, aside from those two key guys, Jones and Sneed, bring back the same group. I think they have to sign Chris Jones. That could derail them because, let's be honest about it, the defense is what won for them this year. That's why they were in the playoffs in the first place, because the offense to an extent, struggled this year. But they draft so well. I'm with you guys. I don't think that they're going to be knocked off anytime soon.
I'm a big fan of L'Jarius Sneed as well. I think that him and Trent McDuffie are just one of the best 1-2 combinations of all of the CBs in the league currently. I would like to find a way to keep L'Jarius Sneed, but I also agree with you and Chris Jones.
Chris Jones, to me, has got to come back. I think you posed the questions with a ton of free agents. Is there a way to derail them as long as they have Mahomes? The other part about Mahomes is restructuring his deal to keep players there.
Yeah.
You talk about a salary cap league. He's got a massive contract. It looks favorable for the Chiefs now, but still he's going to have to restructure that so that they can keep some of the players around him. But I think you look at some of the things that would have gone against Mahomes, can't win on the road in the playoffs, and they go out and knock off these teams and went through 3 teams, starting at home with Miami. No Tyreek Hill. That was, I think, a shot against him, or you could have made it a shot like you had Tyreek. So can you win with lesser players? And the answer is yes. So why would you think that this guy couldn't come back out and repeat?
Right. Now, here's the one thing, and maybe not next year, but over the next couple of years, and maybe next year, the one thing that could really derail Kansas City is the way Jim Harbaugh has his teams play football, because they are going to pound you into submission, and they're going to win the line of scrimmage. And that's what was happening the other night until the fourth quarter, as San Francisco was winning the line of scrimmage. That's the way Jim Harbaugh builds his teams. And if you can build smash mouth and keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands and get after Mahomes with your defensive line, like Harbaugh did when he was with the 49ers, that's how you can derail the Chiefs. That might be the one team that ultimately does at least have a chance to derail Kansas City, is the Chargers.
And it's because of Jim Harbaugh and what he's able to do. But also Justin Herbert, he's a quarterback that I feel like deserves a lot more credit than he's gotten, because his defenses have just really failed him over the years. But he is a really good quarterback. So I'm interested to see what Jim Harbaugh is able to do and what kind of players he'll bring in. Now, with the Chiefs, they enter this offseason with $24.1 million in cap space. So they will have some critical decisions to make. That is something that could possibly hamper them. But to your point that you were talking about, the way that they were able to find Rashee Rice, this is going to be a draft that is very talent-heavy in wide receivers.
The other part about the Chargers, they have the 5th and the 37th overall pick. Now, they have $35 million that they need to cut to be compliant with the cap. They can do that. But having those high draft choices and Justin Herbert dealing with, it'll be his 4th coordinator, I believe, in 5 years, to get some kind of stability for the next couple of years, which he will have under Jim Harbaugh. You would only think that helps him, just having consistency with a coach and running that offense.
And they can ease in. I mean, J.J. McCarthy played a game this year against Penn State where he didn't throw the ball in the second half. I believe McCarthy threw the ball in the Big Ten against a really good defense. I think he only threw the ball 7 times the whole game.
Yeah.
And that's the way I would think Herbert will get started. He won't be thrilled not throwing the ball an awful lot, but they are going to, I guarantee you, that the Chiefs are going to, or the Chargers are going to pound you. By the way, they have their left tackle already. It's Rashawn Slater, right? Is there?
Yes.
Slater is their left tackle. Lindsley at center. He needs to be healthy for them. They've got some really nice players up front. Harbaugh will add to that, and then they took the $1 million a year strength coach from Michigan, who will beef their guys up even more.
I found this Justin Herbert stat the other day that I thought was very interesting and alarming and making me feel really bad for him. Justin Herbert's offenses have averaged 24.4 points per game, which are the 2nd most points per game averaged by a quarterback with a losing record since 1950.
Does it say who number 1 is?
It does
who it is.
not.
That's a pretty good stat. That's a really good stat. So, anyway, there are teams out there, and there are ways to derail the Chiefs, but wouldn't bet against them.
No.
Not the way things are going. And they're still hungry, and that line that Patrick Mahomes uttered, it would be legendary to win 3 in a row. He's finding a way, like the greats, like the Jordans, like the Tigers. He's finding carrots to allow him to stay motivated.
I posed the question to you guys last week. If you had one game to win, and this is prior to this year's Super Bowl, would you want Montana? Would you want Brady? Some of these other great QBs. I'm going Patrick Mahomes.
I am too.
I am.
I can have a compromised offensive line. I can have a lesser receiving core. I can have virtually no running game, and I can still win the game because I got him on my side.
You got number 15.
And he's just 28 years old. So just think about everything that we're going to see with him in the future.
Amazing. Coming up next year on 101 ESPN, Valentine's Day is tomorrow. Number one, is it contrived? And number two, do you need some advice? Brooke has Valentine's Day advice for you guys next.
I think you need to add in Uncle Randy on this, too.
I think Uncle Randy's tomorrow morning. But I'll add one thing, okay? I will, next on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Your St. Louis Blues back in action tonight, 6 p.m. puck drop facing off against the Toronto Maple Leafs. You can catch the pregame show right here at 5 p.m. on 101 ESPN and 101ESPN.com. If you want to hear more Blues talk, you can go to our Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers podcast later today and listen to John Kelly, the TV voice of the Blues, talk it over with Randy, Danny, and Brooke. Also coming up tonight, 6 p.m. tip-off on Peacock. It's your number 14th ranked Fighting Illini facing off against Michigan in a Big Ten battle. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your Road & Shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Okay, tomorrow is February 14th. It's Valentine's. Looking forward to that.
Valentines.
Happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentines.
Yeah.
To all who celebrate.
Yeah, it's it's just a great time to celebrate. Number one, I think there's a lot of bitterness around Valentine's. It's really Valentine's Day, but I'm not one that
You're bitter?
I'm not bitter. No,
okay.
I'm not one. But there are a lot of people out there. Dan, you had a text just a moment ago about Valentine's Day that sounded like kind of bitter.
636 says Valentine's Day for us divorced single guys, it's like getting a pay raise.
See, now that to me indicates a level of bitterness.
Yeah, I would say so.
So I'm not bitter. You just have to make it worthwhile. That's all.
That's what it is. Are you trying to fire something up over there, Randy?
Yeah, we'll get something here for you.
So let me, while you do that, give the top 5 Valentine's gifts for your loved one.
Okay,
2 dozen romantic red roses.
There, You can continue, Dan. You'd say it over this.
I'll just let it go.
That's what I...
You have a framed custom wedding song with the lyrics on the print. Valentine's Day gifts with the heart necklace.
Oh.
A bracelet with your significant other's name on it. A I love you to the moon pendant.
Oh, there you go. And back.
Valentine's Day heart necklace, which we mentioned, and lavender spa gift basket.
There you go. That's the play right
Lavender
there.
Spa gift basket.
Yeah.
That's like very specific.
Yeah. Okay.
Lavender Spa gift basket.
Brooke, you have the female perspective of this group because we think we do it right, but we, like Jim Morrow would say, you think you know. But you don't know, and you will never know. Well, you can allow us to know. So from a female perspective, what is your expectation on Valentine's?
I can only truly speak for myself. I can't speak for all the women, but...
Speak for the gender. Go ahead.
I think, just to speak for the entire gender, I think the biggest thing is just knowing what your partner likes. And I do believe that you can do a little bit of a Valentine's Day gift where it's something for both of you guys, like a dinner for both of you guys. Maybe you stay in and you cook. Flowers are nice. I think flowers are very nice. Maybe look up, if you're very lost, you could look up the love languages that people like. So there's the love languages, words of affirmation, Happy Valentine's Day.
I'm smart enough and doggone
quality
it, people
time,
like me.
Physical touch, acts of service, receiving gifts. And there's a way here, if you give a gift, that you also knocked out the act of service and the receiving gift thing, or giving gifts.
The receiving gift is always great.
What do you think Uncle Randy would do in this particular spot? Because I know it's Ask Uncle Randy tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow's Ask Uncle Randy. But
that's Valentine's Day. This is Valentine's Day Eve.
Here's the thing. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Now, you have made a mistake if you think you're getting a restaurant reservation for tomorrow.
Too late.
Right, too late, because every restaurant is going to be jam-packed. So that's too late. But are you done? No. Go to Schnucks, whatever her favorite meal might be, buy the ingredients, and prepare it for her. Or do carry out from her favorite restaurant and bring that home. But when I say you don't have to reinvent the wheel, walk into Schnucks. You're going to see 1 million flowers and 1 million boxes of chocolates, and just play it straight. You can do that. And if there is a piece of jewelry that she likes, pick it up, and you will make her happy.
How expensive does said jewelry need to be?
It depends on your wherewithal to purchase the jewelry.
That's fair.
Yeah, you can go to Decor and get something on a budget. They're very, very amenable to working with you on a budget. So if you head on over there today, they would help you out. Our friends at Diamonds Direct over here are great in terms of providing you what you need, and they'll answer your questions. So if you want to do the jewelry thing, it's great. If you want to do a lottery ticket, a scratch off, that's great too.
If you did not get your gift, Brooke, would you be pissed?
No, not necessarily, because I'm not expecting a gift. I think that flowers
are
nice.
too.
I think flowers are nice. Flowers are nice. Maybe a dinner or something. But you're right. Sometimes I don't like the hassle of dealing with a restaurant, even so on Valentine's Day, because it's just a mess. There's a lot of different stuff going on. But I think just at least showing, that you care in any sort of way. It doesn't have to be big, but just that's why I like acts of service is one of my favorite love languages of, okay, I'm recognizing you in this moment, which you should be doing every day. Charles pointed that out on the YouTube chat. It doesn't have to just be one day. But on this day, because everybody's celebrating it, you should just do something that recognizes them and shows that I care, I see you, I hear you, and here's a nice little gift like flowers or chocolates.
Yeah, it is more important to give than to receive. There's no doubt about it. But don't look at this, gentleman, ask Uncle Randy Tip here, as transactional? Don't you say, okay, that's worth the 15 seconds, Rick Pitino, but try to give more than you would receive?
I'm looking forward to what Josh Ennis has to say about Valentine's Day. He's coming up in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, and he's
He'll
listening.
have an interesting take.
Yeah, I'm sure that he'll have some great information for us on Valentine's.
I enjoy listening to him. He comes in, he's firing hot takes
all the time.
But what he's going to do for Valentine's Day, if he has that significant other, will be interesting.
Yeah.
And we get off the air at 9:50. That's our Valentine's Day gift to ourselves.
Matthew just said, no, we can't do that.
56.50,
okay,
55.50 maybe.
One other question here. We have a couple of minutes, and we would like your texts. Is Valentine's Day, as it's presently constituted, a big gift holiday? And Hallmark maybe started it as this big gift holiday. Is it contrived, and should people dislike it because of what it is? I don't dislike it. I think holidays that make people happy, anything that makes people happy is a good thing. So if somebody's benefiting financially off of it, Hallmark, flower companies, whatever, I'm fine with that. Is anybody bothered by the idea of Valentine's Day? When I was a kid, it was Valentine's cards and that was it. Now it's a different animal altogether. Yeah. Anybody bothered by what it is now?
No.
I'm not.
No, do something nice for somebody else.
Yeah.
The 217 says, my wife's best gift is cleaning up for her. So apparently she is the one that cleans it up. Yeah. Act of service, as you said, Randall.
Good.
Yeah.
And the women that are listening, there are acts of service that you can provide as well. So just make it a happy Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm. What are you going to do?
I have no idea, Dan.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah,
we put a lot of thought into this.
Is going to be part of it.
The card. Yeah.
Yep.
Now, you go to Schnucks, and they have, as you always, and we always talk about Schnucks on the show, you can go to the florist department there.
It's beautiful. I was at De Pere the other day, and I'm going there today, as a matter of fact.
Very nice.
They have it going over at Schnucks.
So you'll be a part of the guys who are just scrambling, last minute grabbing stuff. I did see some of that this weekend over at Target and that card aisle.
Brooke, you'll be happy to know that this was already my plan. I'm not scrambling. This was just the plan, the way it was set up. So.
Yeah.
Good thing. All right, so there you have it. Happy Valentine's. So here we can do this. There you go. You'll hear that tomorrow here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we got a little edition of Rock and Roll as we head down the stretch towards a balloon party with Josh Ennis. Yes, Matthew?
We got some tickets to give away.
Oh, tickets to give away. And we're giving away tickets to Luke Bryan. Luke Bryan tickets coming up.
Luke Bryan.
Yep, here on Country 101.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and this year we decided it was time to make a major upgrade to our home, and that is by updating our bathroom. We have this house in U City. It's over 100 years old, and we really love it, but we don't exactly love our bathroom. But this is the first time we've really done anything like this before. We weren't really sure where to start, so we decided to reach out to one of our great sponsors here at 101 ESPN, and that is E&B Granite. E&B Granite's team visited our house for a free consultation and sketched out a vision of how to really transform transform our bathroom. My favorite part of working with E&B Granite was stopping by their showroom to explore their large selection of in-stock custom countertops and cabinet options. Jen was the one who was working with us, and she has just been fantastic. She really found a lot of ideas for us that fit within our budget. Their friendly and experienced team has been turning visions into realities for over 20 years. So schedule your free consultation by calling 314-645-9300 or online at enbgranite.com, or stop by their amazing showroom I was telling you about. Make sure you mention that I sent you.
Football season might be over, but that doesn't mean your daily fantasy is. Welcome to Pick'em Champions from our friends at Underdog Fantasy. You just pick 2 to 5 players from at least 2 different teams, select higher or lower on the player stat projections, and you're entered to win alongside other Underdog. It's the perfect way to put your entries down for the St. Louis Blues. Have some extra fun when you're watching the game tonight. They got a full slate of entries, including Scorchers, Insurance, live entries once the game starts, and even Rivals. All the ways you want to play when you're watching your St. Louis Blues. Underdog Fantasy has you covered. You can just go to their easy-to-use mobile app or to underdogfantasy.com and sign up with promo code ROCC. It's super easy to play and even easier to get started. Once you put in ROCC, they're going to match your first deposit up to $100, plus you're going to get a special mystery pick. It's not able to use today on the 13th, but any day after that, you'll be able to use that special mystery pick on your first Pick'em entry. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCC to get your first deposit $10 up to $100 doubled, plus that special pick. Must be 18 plus and present in state where Underdog Fantasy operate. Terms apply. Concern with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
I want to rock! And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
Before we get to rock and roll, we've got some Luke Bryan tickets to give away here on the opening drive. They're also giving away tickets on BKM Ferrario. And here's what you need to do. You need to text us with the answer to a question. And that text number is 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. That's your chance to win free tickets to the show now. A pair of lawn tickets to see Luke Bryan July 28th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. Now, you can also find a bonus chance to register to win tickets to Luke Bryan at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 ESPN mobile app. But right now, right this minute, we have your opportunity to win tickets to Luke Bryan.
Well, Randy, I thought of another grab bag giveaway topic, and Dan McLaughlin is so nice, and he's decided that he is going to play.
Oh,
and so here's what we're going to do here. There have been 65 instances of a player having a 30 home run, 30 stolen base season. Those 65 instances have been performed by 40 different players. So the question is, in 30 seconds, how many different
45
players?
different guys have done this? How about that?
40 different guys across the 65 total instances of it happening. So the question is how many of those 40 players can Danny Mac list in 30 seconds? How many players with a 30-30 season on their resume can Danny Mac list in 30 seconds? And whoever gets closest to the number that Danny lists will be getting those tickets.
So text in 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO with the number that you think Dan will hit for the number of players that have had 30 homers and 30 steals in one season.
All right,
30
Danny Mac.
seconds. Is that nerve-wracking?
It's 30-30-30.
I'm as nervous as I've ever been.
All right, Danny Mac.
This is like being on the fight.
Am I allowed to help?
Yes, of course you're allowed to help. I'm always okay with you guys just throwing little gyps here and there. Danny Mac never helps you on the fight, but you can help him in this game.
I tried to help him today. I thought he won.
That's true. You did.
Hand me a victory.
You're right.
Yeah.
You can help him as much as you want, considering what happened earlier. All right,
Dan,
30
to be
seconds.
fair, I thought it was 3 as well. So you're not alone in that.
See?
Thank you, guys.
See, it's everything's 3s and 30s.
I didn't know that you were counting T.O. as 2.
2.
Yeah.
That's why I
thought it was number 2.
Gets me every
TOs.
time.
Yeah.
All right, 30-30 seasons in 30 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Barry and Bobby Bonds. Eric Davis did it. I believe Strawberry did it. Sammy Sosa, Larry Walker. I remember Alfonso Soriano killing the Cardinals. He did it. Carlos Beltran did it. Canseco's another one. That was an easy one.
Goldie.
Ryan Braun did it. Ronald Acuna Jr., Mookie Betts. Recently, Bobby Witt.
I'm counting that one. I'm counting that one. This was well done. You almost got half of the 40 different players. You got 16 different players who have had 30-30 seasons.
I think it's more we did. Randy gave me a couple there.
You got Canseco, but you didn't answer a single one incorrectly. So 16 is the winning guess for Dan McLaughlin in 30-30 seasons in MLB history. Nicely done, Danny.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You did it so smoothly.
Was
too.
Ron,
You
think
weren't
about
rushed.
it. Did Ron Gant ever do 30-30?
Ron Gant is another one. I remember that. He did it with the Reds.
Okay.
And I like to throw this out just because it's fun. Carlos Beltran.
Or the Braves, rather.
There you go. That's impressive. Carlos Beltran, the only one to do it in both leagues.
Yep.
In his career, that is, of course. Some news in rock and roll that just kind of hit a little bit earlier. Both Derek Gould and Jeff Jones have tweeted out the new white practice jerseys for the Cardinals down in spring training. Apparently, the reviews are in from the players, and it's bad, ladies and gentlemen. Miles Michaelis says it doesn't fit right. The pants are no longer customized, and the fabric is very different consistency. Another player said, quote unquote, they look cheap. Derek Gould also said that the red shade appears to be a little different. Some of the stitchings on the back is a little off. Again, both Jeff Jones and Derek Gould have tweeted about it. I kind of agree with the things I'm seeing. It looks, it's missing something. And I'm not happy with it.
It does look. So I'm looking at it right now on X. You mentioned Derek Gould. I'm looking at his tweet about it. It definitely looks different. Now, this is Fanatics, correct?
Yes.
Is that why? Fanatics has always had.
I think it's got to be. That's the reason why.
Some controversy
Nike
around
that
it.
said that they had to be limited to how many jerseys they could have.
Well, we talked about that a few weeks ago. That was the MLB rule that you can't have more than 5 or something like that. More than 4. So they added another one. So they got to get rid of the all reds. So I guess these are just the spring training versions of the whites,
which is preposterous. Why not just use use the regular season ones? I mean,
why do people get so interested? I mean, it must be a slow day at camp when you're worried about the jerseys.
But if the players are worried about the way they feel and fit, these are
look good, play good, Randy.
That's what it's all about, right?
I think they're going to play fine whether or not they were in cutoff sleeves.
Well, they better not do cutoff sleeves. I would throw a fit if they did cutoff sleeves.
I wouldn't. I would.
Really?
I want the old cutoffs with the undershirt underneath, piping along the front, piping along the side, and black shoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like you should switch it up every once in a while.
But
there's nothing wrong with that.
You don't want your players thinking or saying that your jerseys seem cheap. You don't want your players to have to pay for Wi-Fi on a plane.
Yankees.
You just want to take care of your people.
Also, this is the entire B story of a very good Seinfeld episode, Danny. You don't want to. You can't have your players out there in jerseys they don't like.
I'm fine with it.
It's an entire episode.
What about wool?
They're in wool, and then he puts them in. What does he put them in all cotton, and then it goes terribly wrong on the field.
Yeah.
Bring back the wool.
You see, does something look different or off to you guys?
It does. It looks like it's the name's a little lower. The
numbers are closer, right?
Yeah, the stitching's a little different.
Rally House.
I'm over it though.
Rally. It's
I'm totally over it.
Bought it at Rally House.
It's for 1 month of the. It's the first week of the season.
Yeah, maybe they can fix it. They've got the best equipment guys in the business down there.
Yes, they do.
That will take care of this problem.
Also, I thought this was great. Did you guys see any of the videos from the Waste Management Open over the weekend?
Yes.
Yes.
So well, Randy, some people at the PGA apparently didn't think so because they're now talking about making a lot of changes because of what happened. Obviously, they had to suspend alcohol sales because things were getting too out of hand, which then caused as it usually does, an even bigger problem because then people get mad that there's no more alcohol sales. I guess at this point, it has reached a point where despite the fanfare, this is a bad thing for golf. It's gotten just too rough.
They had a guy doing a snow angel in one of the bunkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably can't do that.
Getting too close to the live tour, huh? Getting close to home.
I saw something the other day that said like pickleball had better viewership than live. And you had going down the stretch, you had Dustin Johnson, you had like some of the big names of live. DeChambeau was in there, and their ratings are just horrible right now.
Really? You said you've watched it before. I haven't watched it yet. Is that because I honestly do not know where you can watch it at?
WB, Channel 11.
CW.
Okay.
Or the CW.
WB.
Yeah.
That's
Same
all
thing,
you need to
same
know.
thing.
Whatever. Channel 11.
I know what you're talking about.
So-
yeah. I haven't watched it yet.
Here's the thing.
It's kind of hard to follow with the team stuff.
Right. But the problem is that's where all the stars are. I think Liv has hurt both. It's hurt. Nobody's watching Liv, but the leaderboard at Waste Management was really bad.
I agree.
There was nobody that you are attached to. And really, for the last month or so, there hasn't been any, maybe for the whole season so far, there really hasn't been anybody that you're attached to where you look at a leaderboard and say, oh, I want to watch this person play.
I watch Channel 11 just because I do want to see DeChambeau. I miss seeing DJ. I love watching Phil Mickelson, even though he helped tear this whole thing up. I want to see the big guys play.
Yeah.
I know I'm in the minority because most people don't know where to find it. Like Brooke.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I really, it's like I forget that it's happening sometimes. I would watch it to see those guys, but this is why I was kind of hoping for more of a unification where you would eventually have some sort of merger between all these because I want to see all those guys back on the tour.
Right now, if they would play it straight, like the PGA Tour, play 4 rounds and not have the music and not have the teams with the golfers they have, I think that they would probably outdraw the tour and promote it that way.
It's weird watching guys in shorts.
Yeah.
I know that sounds stupid, but it's weird seeing that. And the music is blaring.
Yeah, it is loud.
And John Rahm was upset in his, first event. He's going to have to get over it. He's signed for $500 million, so deal with the music. But, some of that is the non-traditional stuff people don't like.
Yep.
And one final thing, the Flash now official from Secaucus, New Jersey. Retired St. Louis Cardinals all-star pitcher Adam Wainwright has joined the MLB Network as an on-air analyst. Wainwright will make his debut on opening day, March 28th, the network said Tuesday, and he will work the Cardinals game against San Francisco at Rickwood Field in Birmingham, Alabama on June 20th.
Oh, good deal.
Wow.
Good. Well, good to see Adam there. I know that MLB Network was working hard on that, so I'm glad they got him. Great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes, and I had Chick-fil-A. This is a great day.
It's a good day already.
Show us your face. We want to see your face. Who said that? You want to see my face?
Danny Mac, thanks for trying to give me the fight. I
No
appreciate
problem, buddy. Your best interests are my best interests.
I appreciate that.
You got it.
That's Danny Mac. I'm Randy. Thank you very much for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. Josh Innes has the balloon party in for T-Mac coming up. And then you've got BK and Ferrario and the Fast Lane for all of us until tomorrow morning at 7. Have a great Valentine's Eve, everyone.
And now for something completely different.